Yo, we are live. Here we go. This is DPS Podcast, Damage Per Second Podcast, episode number 96. 4 episodes away from the big triple digits. The big 100. The 100. Honey. What's the slang way of saying 100? Is it 100? What's that? 100? Is that 100?
$100 bill, y'all.
100. Yeah, whatever. Look,
we almost at 100.
Let's say it super proper. 100. We are
100.
almost at 100 episodes.
We're at the century mark, people.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. But this episode also is going to be awesome because we're gonna have a good time, despite the fact there is not a lot to talk about at the moment. But let me introduce my co-host, Gaming Forte. What's up, bro?
What's going on, man? How are you? This is doesn't seem like it's been that long because it hasn't. I saw you yesterday on Brap, but you know, DPS is, you know, this is home, so being here with you and only you, I desire that every week, and I'm super happy to be here.
Well, that sounds like a song or something.
You remind me.
Oh, hey. It's a bridge too far. It's a bridge too far, sir.
A bridge too far. I'm about to be your bridge for brother.
Well, I mean, you got to actually read the book to be my bridge for brother, man.
Okay.
Of course, that book is, you know, The Way It Kings. You know, only the best fantasy book to come out, and God knows how long. But no, seriously. Like, what you been up to, man? What you been playing?
So been playing Destiny, been looking at Fortnite, looking at all those high price skins.
Looking at Fortnite, not playing Fortnite.
No, looking at Fortnite because at this point,
can I tell the 10% of the story real quick?
You may tell a lie of a story.
A lie? Is it a lie? Okay, you know, there were people that were present, you know, for this that know this isn't a lie. So look, we were supposed to play Fortnite. Me, Forte, and our good friend Cat Daddy Lurk. Shout out to Cat Daddy Lurk. I think he's out on the road right now, but I hope he's listening. If he is, if not, he's catching it on replay. What's up, bro? So me and Lurk are already playing the game, but we're trying to figure out, like, where's Forte? And I already know where Forte is. Well, I know where he's not, because he said he's coming to play the game, but nowhere to be found. Shocker. Mm-hmm. So then later on, after we got done playing Fortnite, we decided to go try out Multiversus. Here, Forte finally shows up after we done played Fortnite. Now he shows up, and then he's like, "What is this Multiversus crap? This game sucks." And it's like, have you played it? How do you know it sucks, Forte? I don't. I'm just saying it sucks. I don't know if he was drunk. May have been. I don't know. Anyway, he installs the game. It's a free game. We've been playing the game. He comes to join. We decide to do a little, you know, with three of us here. So like, Lurk's gonna play with the AI, and I would play with Forte. Soon as the match starts, this band goes on mute, disappears, AFK, and I'm just sitting here, just like, this don't make any sense. Like, where is he? And I'm like, Forte, what's up? What's going on, bro? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So after about 5 minutes and of him disappointing us, me and Lurk just say, you know what, man, I think I'm just going to call it a night. He's like, yeah, me too, man. We just get off the game. Later on, I get a text message from Mr. Forte over here. Where'd you guys go? Where did you go is the question. See, this is what I had to deal with all the time. When you guys wonder, like, how come Forte and Slow Mo don't play more games together? This is why. Because Forte is wholly unreliable when it comes to playing these games at any kind of, like, reasonable time period where other people actually want to play games. Do you have anything to say for yourself, sir?
No, I don't. Well, yes, I do. I had to restart my computer because Discord froze. I tried shutting Discord down. I booted it back up. It still left me on mute. So I was like, let me restart my computer. I restart my computer. I text Slow-Mo and say, hey, it's restarting my computer, because I didn't tell him why. I just said restart my computer. And then I come back and I finally, it closed out Discord and everything. But if you close out Discord, it launches you back into Discord, and it put me back in the party. But there was nobody in the party, and it was unmuted. I was like, oh, they left. And I text Slow-Mo and said, hey, did you leave? He said 20 minutes later, he texts me, says, yeah, you went on mute. And you left, and then all of a sudden you were out of the game. So me and Cat Daddy said, that's it, we're just going to be done playing. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I had to restart my computer because of this. Slow-Mo didn't even respond to me. And then he gets mad at me because I was supposed to play a game with him, but he wasn't there. It's my fault. I should have been there earlier. I had a bunch of stuff going on. So I'm not going to blame Slow-Mo for this. But I was trying to play a game with him last night, and it was pretty... and I didn't get a chance to. And let's be for real, that DC game is actually really cool. I was playing it the other day with some people, and I was like, yo.
You were playing it the other day with some people?
Yes.
That wasn't me.
Well,
okay.
You wasn't online at that point.
Okay.
You were out and about with your family that day.
You know what? But by the way, you were also supposed to play Fortnite with me and Brad, and you also flaked on us as well. So it's just
I still ain't played Fortnite yet.
You know what? This is what I've just come to the conclusion is that Forte don't want to play games with me. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop trying to play games with Forte.
So I like to wait.
Maybe
so
he
I like
thinks
to sit.
I'm a bum or something, and he don't want to carry me in these games.
Oh my god!
Or something. I don't know what it is, but he just whenever like we supposed to play games together, he got every excuse in the book to not.
But I
do
like,
it.
I
gotta paint my garage. I gotta defumigate my trash cans. I gotta like gas up my car, but not like any gas. I gotta get like out of state gas, so I'll be gone for a while. Like, it's always an excuse. So I
like doing it, but I like spending 2.5 hours up to 3 hours with you every Thursday. So it's not that I don't like spending time with you.
But we gamers, man.
I know, but you can't. At least you can't say I ignore you.
You do.
No, I don't, because I'm here with you right now.
You ignore me all the time.
I do not ignore you.
I can.
You
post.
Act like I leave you on red or something. You act like I leave you on red on.
Oh my! Like I could post like a full screenshot of me just sending Forte messages and no response back over the course of days.
Where's this at, on Twitter?
No, on text messages.
It's definitely don't go no days. It might go hours. It don't go days.
It's okay, Slow-Mo. You are kind, you are smart, and you are somebody. Thank you. I needed that pick me up.
I'm looking. The biggest gap I see in our text messages over the last 2 weeks is a 2-hour gap.
Bro, are you serious? Scroll up.
I'm looking.
Keep scrolling up. Look at how many times I text you and you don't text back. Ever.
Listen.
Ever. You never text back, man.
Okay, so July 23rd, I see a text on the 23rd.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if my name in your phone is on read, because that's what you leave me all the time, on read.
You can't. Good thing you don't have an iPhone, so you can see.
You can see what other people call you on iPhone.
Huh?
On iPhone, you can see what other people have a name for you.
You can. Oh no, on iPhone you can see if people leave you on red though.
Oh well, I mean you can turn it off. You can do that on Android.
Well, you can turn it off, yeah, but most people don't, because it's a default setting on your phone to be on red.
Yeah.
People be telling on themselves like, "Look, man, I know you saw my message. It says you read it."
Mickey Dazala says I sound a little needy.
Oh.
Really? I don't think that's I'm just look. We're all adults here.
It's a little needy.
We're all adults here. If someone said, "Hey, Slow-Mo, look, I'm trying to play X game with you." All right, cool. What's up? What's up? Sure, around this time period. Bet. I'll be there. If I'm not gonna be there, something's not right, something changes, I'm gonna let you know. Hey, something came up, can't make it. If not, I'm gonna be there. Forte? Nah. He's not as courteous. Something came up. I don't say anything. I said nothing. I don't know anything. What? Tell you, my bad. Whoopsie. So it's just like, is that?
This just sounds like a lie.
If I'm needy, Mixie dies a lot. I just need some courtesy. That's all I want. Some courtesy. A little RSPECT. Find out what it means to me. That's all I want. Anyway.
I want that too.
Stop it. Let me shout out some people in the chat real quick. Shout out to Spider13 being the first one here. Shout out to Bunty, Dave, Falker. Yeah, that Falker. Yeah, that's it. Missy dies a lot. That guy Smitty. Arcade, Railzair Double O, Big Daddy YXX. Why say the Y? That's in it. Okay, Big Daddy XX. There we go. Ryan Landis, Rob the Don 202. That guy Smitty. I already said that. Cat Daddy Alert, Truth Serm, Mr. Xbot, and Gregor Von Doom is in that house. He said texting requires spelling. Give Forte a break. He's trying. Facts. You know what? That's very, very true. I am not thinking about how hard it is for him to respond back to me. So yeah.
Yep. I gotta get a dictionary out for each word that I type.
About the games that I've been playing this week. So I actually been diving into a lot of different things. Played a little COD with Deli a few days ago. Yep. Because I got Modern Warfare, the remaster, the 2019 remaster. I got that with when I got my GPU, excuse me, in 2019. So I still had that game, and he was playing it, so I joined him. I hadn't engaged in the multiplayer at all, so that was cool. Played some Apex Legends. Hated it. I still hate that game. I don't know why I keep going back to it just to say I hate it, but I hate Apex Legends. As you see, some Real Company gameplays playing right now. A lot of Multiversus and Fortnite as well. So that's just been the stuff I've been playing. I'm gonna get back to playing games that actually have a end to them, a completion. Because I've been on 18 games beat for a really long time, and this is like the
Luke about to catch you.
I know, right? Luke is at
like
12.
11 now.
12 probably. 11 or 12, yeah.
Shout out to her putting that work. She just beat Dishonored 2 yesterday.
Yep. I was talking to her about it. She really loves it. I'm glad she does. I think Arcane as a studio is like I think they're very polarizing in a way, because it's like you either love their games or you hate their games. And I don't. Maybe polarizing isn't the right word. I just like they're an acquired taste for certain, because like all their games are in first person perspective, but their gunplay is really kind of mediocre. But but it's like that's not why people play their games. People play their games because of the stealth elements, the level design that really lends towards helping you choose which method you want to actually go about completing your mission. And for people who love stealth games, and like we haven't really had a lot of good stealth games in a long time, Dishonored and Arcane's games are probably really a godsend for them. So this is kind of the reason why probably my biggest concern with Redfall, because Redfall is not a stealth game. Redfall isn't supposed to be a stealth game. It's supposed to be like a 4-player first-person shooter, multiplayer, may look like kind of like a looter shooter if you think about it. It's got a lot of vibes towards Borderlands, with character models and the themes. Plus, it's got loot that actually has levels and stuff. So it's like this is a little bit out of the wheelhouse. I kind of wonder how it's going to turn out, but yeah, I've been playing. I've been playing that stuff. Some of the stuff I played today, we're going to talk about later, like Cult of the Lamb and Diofield Chronicles, but the demo that is. But anything you wanted to say real quick before? Oh, do we need to do shout out our channel members? We got to do that real quick before we get into the topics, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Let me pull up the list.
By the way, Cat Daddy Alert says he forgives you for a time.
No, tell him I'm sorry. It wasn't that I didn't want to. Like literally, I came back. You were gone. I was like, no, they're gonna think I don't want to play with them. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, and you don't. Anyway, let's take a look at our shout out to all the 10%ers that we're going to shout out real quick. Appreciate all you guys. We really love that you guys choose to support us in this way. Thank you 5,000 times. Thank you. Shout out to Arcade 4247, John the Don, Dragonheart Yobi, Jeff B Gaming, Steve Harlow, Ham Solo 05, Cat Daddy Alert, Truth Serum, Big Mike, Hustle and Motivate, Smokes 901, Erodimus, Ramon Terrell, Homie One Kenobi, Replicant, Bunty, Surtaz 117, Gaming Forte over here on my side of things, Corey Hill, Stardust Acero, and that guy Smitty. So
that guy Smitty. Yeah, shout out to I'm a Rich Swag Lord. Shout out to Hustle and Motivate, Ramon Terrell, Replicant, Hargi Chani. Shout out to Sir Taz, Stardust Acero. Shout out to Brad, Corey Hale, Elder Cat, Mr. Cat Daddy Lurks. Shout out to Erodimus, the homie Slummo Backslap over here, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. You guys are what power the channel, and we really appreciate all the love and support that you give to both channels.
Absolutely. So I guess we can go ahead and get into these topics, right?
Yes, we can.
We can get into these topics. First topic up is Spider-Man. Coming out on PlayStation tomorrow. So check this out, right?
It's already out on PlayStation. You mean PC, right?
I'm sorry, PC. My bad.
Hey, man, you trying to make us play at 30 frames per second again?
Hey. It's 60 FPS on PC.
It depends on which PlayStation you're talking about.
Well, look, like this gameplay that I'm showing right now is me just putting some stuff together real quick earlier today because I just wanted to make sure I had something.
You wanted some content,
show. Right. I'm a little rusty, so you could definitely tell in the combat how rusty I am. Anyway, Spider-Man, the 2018 version of Spider-Man made by Insomniac Games is coming out on PC tomorrow. The port is done by Nixxes, on the studio acquired by Sony PlayStation Studios specifically to port games, their first party games, over to PC. And so this is probably going to be the biggest one that they're porting. I do believe they're also doing the Uncharted games, like the Lost Legacy and Uncharted 4. They're doing, it seems like they're doing like the majority of the games that are coming over. But I had, one question to you, Forte. Are you getting this? You're getting it?
Yes.
You never beat the first one. You never beat it on PlayStation.
That's where I'm going, but this is where I'm going to beat it at on PC. Because I want to play, even knowing certain people on reviews said that it doesn't really do it the justice to have it in ultra wide. I just like the visuals that you get from ultra wide, and this game supports it. And I definitely want to see what that's like and everything. Running at 140 plus frames per second. That's pretty much the reason I want to do it. It's not that because I'm not really that big of a superhero fan when it comes to, like, I like Spider-Man, but not really, the games never really spoke to me. But this one has always been something different, and I just didn't want to play it on anything but PC, and I'm glad that it's here, so I'm gonna play it there.
Cool. I've already pre-ordered it. And I'll be playing it tomorrow. Of course, you know I did, right?
Everything.
Yeah, I got it off of CD Keys for like what was it, $42? I think it was.
Is that how much it is on CD Keys right now?
Yeah, check CD Keys out. It might still be that price. I got it like a week ago, So
Nice.
but I can't pre-install it or anything like that. I can't install it until tomorrow, but it is what it is, right? I've platinumed this game and the Miles Morales side game on PlayStation. This is like, I think I probably like I started another playthrough but never finished it. After it was brought over the PS5, but I'm looking forward to playing through this game at like at minimum 120 frames per second. Like I think what I might do, I might switch it over to off of my my 4K monitor and just go 4K with some ray tracing. I kind of like manage it and then do 60 FPS and just see which one I like the most. I already know I'm gonna like the frame rate one the most, so I'm just gonna probably end up doing ultra settings, 1440p and 120 FPS, just to kind of like just enjoy that experience, because ray tracing is cool to look at for a little while, but like it will never be, at least as far as I'm concerned, more important than the frame rate. Like if it's cool to look at and like and have some beautiful visuals here and there, but just can't beat doubling your frame rate. Like you just can't beat that. So I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna play through it. It's gonna come with all the DLC that the original game came with. That's like I think it was like 3 or 4 of them. I can't remember. Black Cat is in it. A couple of other side. I can't remember the villains that were in it or not. I can't remember which villains they were. But the DLC were pretty good. I really enjoyed this game. It was probably the first game I ever platinum on PlayStation. That's how much I enjoyed it. Because I'm not, you know me, I'm not an achievement or trophy chaser or hunter. Like I can't see myself, like especially with some of these games where like the trophy is like something silly, like hey, collect 2,000 chickens. Like no, I'm not doing that crap, right? But if it's something that like I'm just in the course of me playing the game, I'm already close to getting the platinum or already close to just getting the 100% achievement, then I'll go ahead and do it. And with this one, I think I only needed like 3 trophies to get the platinum, and one of them was like visiting Uncle Ben's grave, and the second one I think was giving like 10 New Yorkers high fives, and then the third one was like something I actually had to work towards, which was just like I think you had to clear every borough, you had to clear every region of like any of the side activities, which took a little time, but that was just playing the game, which I had fun doing, so it wasn't that big a deal. So I'm probably going to do all that again on PC. And did you hear about the performance stuff?
I did.
Yeah, so apparently there's some weird performance issues going on that have slowly been fixed with they're not all fixed, but they're getting there. So like they've been slowly fixing some of these issues where there'll be like some frame rate dips out of nowhere, and typically if it's a frame rate dip during combat, that's one thing, but it's a frame rate dip and you're just swinging you're not even really doing anything chaotic, then it's like you gotta fix that crap. So hopefully there's supposed to be a patch that's coming out tomorrow, so hopefully that will cover everything and get everything squared away. But I think the biggest thing that well before I ask this question, Forte, do you have any concerns about the performance? Forte,
you broke up. What did you just say?
I said, do you have any concerns with the performance?
No, I mean, in general, I mean, when it comes to, I mean, they really haven't given me a reason for, I mean, outside of Horizon, when it first launched the first time, gave people a reason to think that their games were going to be truly optimized, I think, because that was like one of the first ones they did it with. But outside of that, every other game that they kind of released, they did have like slight issues and stuff at the beginning, but a lot of that stuff got pretty ironed out within the first 24 to 48 hours. So I really don't have any really concern about that, especially if you have the hardware, you're going to be fine. Now, if you're on the lower end, like spec PC, you might have a little bit more issues and stuff when it comes to that stuff. But for the most part,
this one's recommended specs are pretty high up there.
Yeah, they're pretty high. As I said, as long as you're hitting those recommended specs, I think you should be perfectly fine. But outside of that, a lot of people might think of performance issues being a problem with this game if they're not hitting those recommended specs, because this is one of the very first console games that ported over to PC that does have like pretty not just ordinary recommended specs when it comes to the PC side. They're not very outlandish, but they are a little bit higher than normally before.
It's recommending a 3070.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I wish I would have pulled it up. It's recommending a 3070 for. Okay, what is it for just recommended? I don't think the 3070 is recommended.
I'm looking at my pictures to see where it's at.
But the ultimate highest level recommends 32 gigs of RAM, which I do have, but most people don't. Most people are rocking 16 gigs. It's recommending SSD, which I'm happy for, and something that like I always talk about. Like shout out to Optimus Code. Me and him used to always go back and forth on when certain things like this would start to show up as a recommended spec on PC, and I always kind of figured that like if you.
So which version are we looking at for what version of the game? Or not what setting?
What's recommended? Which GPU?
Oh, just recommended. Recommended is 1080p, 60 frames per second. Windows 10, Core i5 4670K.
What's the GPU?
GPU's or AMD. GPU is a 1060.
1060. Okay.
Or RX 580.
Okay, so like, I guess high settings or whatever the high setting was 3070.
Very, very high settings, which is 4K 60 frames per second. It wants a Ryzen 3600 and GPU is a 3070 or RX 6800 XT.
Yes, so like that's a huge,
75 gig SSD.
That's a huge gap. They actually on the NVIDIA side thing, they jumped a generation.
They jumped to the whole generation, right?
They went from a 1060 to a 3070. They completely skipped the 2000
You know why? Because as much as RTX was launched with the 2000 series. It was just the bedrock. You really aren't trying to run ray tracing on any 2000 anything.
They're not. Yeah, I mean they're better.
They're not optimized for it. They can do it, but they're not optimized. Where the 3000 series is where you pretty much get your bang for the buck. So I can honestly see, because that is with ray tracing where they're talking about 4K 60 and everything.
Yeah, and it's just I'm glad to see it, because I've always kind of felt that like PC gamers, if you want to push the hardware more, that I used to always get into these discussions with PlayStation fans who would say that, we don't want day and date with PC, because if we do day and date with PC, then like they're going to need to lower the whatever they're trying to do with the game. They're going to need to, let me skip this on to some actual fighting. They're going to need to lower the quality of the game in order to make sure that they're hitting the lower end of these like basically potato PCs out here, where people have an upgraded GPU. They're still running a 970. They're still running 4 gigs of RAM. Like no, they're not. That's not what this is. Like in PC, it's not. Like there are games on PC that like say no. Like if you got a trash PC, you can't run our game. Sorry. Like Star Citizen, any Crytek game. Like there are games. Shoot, any Ubisoft game, because they're barely optimized, right? So like if you out here thinking that just like you can run any game with just really old hardware, it's just not going to be the case going forward. And I think that more people will just pony up the money and spend more when you actually demand more. And like I think a great example of that is the SSD. So they recommended SSDs in the spec for Spider-Man on PC. Good. If you don't have a SSD in your PC right now, I don't know what to tell you. What the heck is wrong with you? Like, why are you still running on mechanical hard drives? Like, stop being cheap. Like, you get a SATA SSD for less than $100. Like, go just like, and the difference in your speeds is going to be low speeds to just like, I mean, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, why aren't you doing that yet? So it's just like, if you gotta force people to go there, then do that. But like, using Steam statistics to say, oh, well, you know, the majority of people still have a 1060, so we're not going to go any above that. But like, not taking into account that the 1060 is still leading on Steam charts, but only by like less than 1%. Like other GPUs that are more powerful are slowly creeping up, and it's going to be more. That's going to become more adopted as these actual developers, you know, stop being skittish and be like, yo, get yourself a more modern, you know, pieces of hardware if you want to play our game, bro. Like, it straight up, that's the way it is. Sorry. So all that said, my actual question to you, Forte, is we saw Sony had like a earnings call or something. I can't remember what it was, but they had stated how they anticipated 300 million in revenue from PC this year. And when this was before they announced that Spider-Man was coming to PC, and we were just like, yo, they must be dropping some heat on PC to get that, because you're not going to just get that with just, you know, I think what we thought, which still hasn't even been announced yet, was Returnal. Yeah, because there's a Steam page for Returnal, and I'm just like, that and the already announced Uncharted collection ain't enough to warrant, you know, that's not enough to warrant you getting 300 million in revenue. And so then we see, well, this makes sense. You got Spider-Man on the docket. If this game doesn't sell well, though, well, first let's define sales well, right?
That's yeah.
Because clearly it's not going to do this game sold 20 million on PlayStation.
It's not going to do. It's not going to do that.
It's a 4-year-old game. It's not selling 20 million, you know, on PC. But
nope.
What is an acceptable amount of sales that you would say is sold well on PC? What's that number to you?
2 million.
2?
2. Wanna know why? I think it should sell more than that.
Horizon Zero Dawn sold 2 though.
I know. Oh well, yeah, you're right. Horizon sold 2. I wasn't thinking in conjunction to Horizon. 5.
Okay. I think that's 5. A bit more reasonable. 5. Yeah.
Sense. I would keep forgetting the Horizon sold 2 million. I still can't believe it sold 2 million. But yeah, 5.
Yeah, I think 5 makes sense. 5 million over the course of the year. Like, I don't expect like 2.5 million, you know, by September or something. But I think over the course of the year, yeah, absolutely. 5 million makes sense to me. Now, if they don't reach 5 million, do you think Sony may start looking at their dedication to the PC platform a little differently?
Nope, I think they'll probably double down more, because I think like not every title needs to be a day and date thing. I don't think like Last of Us needs to be a day and date thing. I don't think any of those games, but something like Spider-Man, I feel like, yes, it sold 20 million on PlayStation, but I still think it would have probably still sold close to 20 million anyways on PlayStation. It probably would, instead of saying 20, it might have sold 17 or maybe 16. But I think the PC side of it would have made up way more than just 5 million if it was available on PC at the same time. So I think that's the biggest difference, that when people keep talking about the double dip, I understand the double dip is very, very strong, but not all titles need to be double dip. I just think a game like Spider-Man should just be available on as many platforms as you could put it on that you want to put it on, because that's a huge IP. It's a superhero IP. It's not a first. It's a first. Well, at the time, it wasn't even a first party IP. It was a third party. Well, second party. Yeah. It was a second party IP that they had exclusive rights to, which is fine. But I just feel like even if they sold 16 million because they sold it on PC too, I think 5 million on PC is a joke. I think they sell probably north of 8-9 million on PC, because especially once all of the excitement around how good the console version was, I think PC, because it came out in September, if I remember, of 2018. Don't you know how many people would have went out and bought that on PC closer to the holidays and stuff, whenever they did like a Steam sale or something like that, and they would have been like, oh, well, let me try this on PC, if they didn't know how good it was from the beginning. I just think the PC number will just be massively bigger than 5 million. And there's nothing wrong with 5 million, but I think for a game that's 4 years old at this point,
5 million is not what they would have got on PlayStation right now in 2022.
Exactly. It wouldn't be good, but what they're getting on PC is great. But just think about the number that they would have got on PC if they would have launched at the same time. That's not to say they should go day and date with all their games. I'm just saying some games, like a Spider-Man game, I feel like should have just launched day and date. So if it doesn't hit 4 or 5 million, I think they probably reassess certain games, releasing them faster to the PC platform, so they kind of catch that same wave that the launch catches, because we all know the first 30 to 60 days is where a game makes most of its sales. And if they could kind of bridge that gap with a game like Spider-Man or something like that in the future, I think they'll do even better. But let's be for real, I think Spider-Man easily is going to probably do at least 4 million, depending on marketing when it comes to Sony and everything. A lot of people don't even know that this game is available separately on the PlayStation 5 now, because remember, at first it was only bundled with Miles Morales Ultimate Edition. So now you can actually buy it for $20 outright, and I think people are going to start noticing that too. So I think it's going to do fine, but I do think if it doesn't hit a number that they're thinking of, it won't bring panic. It will just make them reassess how much faster they bring those games to that market, because I do think they leave sales on the table when they wait so long. And I think inherently for Spider-Man, it's been 4 years at this point. Everybody that wanted to play that game for the most part
has already
played it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing.
Unless they were just completely unwilling to go to a platform.
Unless they were completely unwilling to go to PC, go to console, because they just wanted. And those are the people that's going to buy it for. You're going to get, I'll say, at least of 5 million people buying it. If 5 million people bought the game, I would say at least a good 30% of those people are probably are PC only gamers that didn't want to buy a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 at the time to play it. So they're going to get a lot of crossover.
I would say likely a third of their sales are going to be people who are double dipping, people who actually
easily a third
and buying it again, like you and me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm buying it again because it's a fun game, and
you're buying it again for the third time. Because you bought it initially on PS4, then you bought the Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, didn't you?
Yeah, but it came with it. Like, I bought Miles Morales.
That's $70, bro. That Miles Morales by itself was only 40 or 50. I take it back, 50. But you couldn't buy it separately, so that's why I kind of counted as a second time, because they sold that game for $40 on PS4. And there was no way to buy it separately on PS5, so they just charged you $70 because they gave you, which is smart, which is why I wish they would have did that with the whole with the whole Last of Us thing. Like, I don't think anybody would be complaining about a price of Last of Us 2 being $70 if you would have like packaged in Last of Us Part 2 as part of the bundle with Last of Us remake. So seems like they do a lot of good things, but then they do some terrible things, and I think that's just kind of a Sony thing at this point. They're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I lost my train of thought. My bad. Anyway, look,
No, you're good.
I think if it doesn't, I do kind of agree with you that it doesn't like change the strategy that they're on with PC. And I would say that based upon the fact that they've invested heavily in not just games on PlayStation, but potentially a launcher. I say on PlayStation, on PC. Potentially a launcher on PC.
Mm-hmm.
They are creating monitors now. They're creating headsets that are marketed towards the PC gamer. So like the new InZone, is it the H7s or the H9s?
Mm-hmm.
The H series InZone headset is a completely different line of headset from the Pulse 3Ds that they have for PlayStation. And you look at the commercial for it. There's a woman who's playing a PC game sitting at a desk with the Sony InZone M9 monitor, and she's got the headset on. So it's like they're marketing specifically towards PC. They've said similar things where people have heard that they want to be like the Razer. They want to have a similar brand on PC like Razer, which like Razer has dipped their toe into. I don't know how I really feel about that, because I feel like Razer has their hand in everything, but they're not like highest of quality in anything. You know, like I think that's the best way to say it. Like their capture cards are awful. Their keyboards are just okay. I think all that extra software they try to bundle into that stuff is junky and trash. But I wouldn't want to be Razer anyway. Like I just think that nothing is going to shake their determination to be a player in the PC market, which makes sense for them. They want to be a player in PC consoles and mobile. They want to be a player in all aspects of gaming, which is really smart considering how much mobile generates in revenue on an annual basis, and the whole PC market and what they provide to the gaming market. But anything else? Ooh, real quick.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Because you wanted to discuss this.
The
Minimum acceptable frame rate. Okay, so there's been a lot of debating back and forth recently in regards to like what we should accept as a minimum frame rate. What developers should target as a minimum frame rate. And I mean, there's been a lot of like people who have been like, 60 FPS or die, 60 FPS or bust, that's saying, hey, ain't nothing wrong with 40 FPS. 40 FPS ain't that bad sometimes. I still want 60, but if it's 40, I'm not going to trip. And I'm like, interesting that how people opinions change, In light of all that, in light of I think you said there was a video from Skill Up, I think, that he was talking about Spider-Man, and I guess he was playing it on his Steam Deck.
Yes.
And what was the frame rate he was playing Spider-Man on Steam Deck?
30 frames per second.
30 FPS on Steam. Now look, I own a Steam Deck, right? Everything that I play on my Steam Deck, I play at 60 FPS. And that does not mean that everything in my Steam library is capable of being played on my Steam Deck at 60 FPS. But when I do play games on it, I'm playing at 60 FPS. So
right.
It's at 60 FPS, but so that's it. If it can't run it consistently at 60, I'm just not going to play it on my Steam Deck. And so, it's a more powerful portable device than the Switch, but it's still it's literally AS Blade X. It's it's at the original PlayStation 4 level when it comes to hardware. Maybe a little bit more powerful than the PS4. That's what it is. And so, but you do have the freedom to, you know, it's a PC. It's literally like a PC. But actually more like a laptop now you think about it, because there's certain things that you can't change. Like you can't go in and switch out your GPU, you know, or the APU that's in it, right? But you could switch out your storage device. You could sideload Windows 11 into it. There's a lot of freedom to it. But that said, like, I'm not playing nothing on it at 30 FPS. I know you don't have one, but like Forte, let's forget all that for a moment. What is Gaming Forte's minimum frame rate that you will enjoy a game
at? 60 frames per second. No more, no less. Always can take more, no less. It's like this whole conversation, you know, of enduring 30 frames per second just to endure it is ridiculous. And even listen, man, 40 frames per second, 50 frames per second, moderate drops below 60 frames per second. I mean, yeah, yes, is it playable? Absolutely. But is it something that we should be hoping and celebrating that they actually do more of just to make it a more balanced experience in 2022? Absolutely not. So 60 frames per second or die, literally, that should always be the moniker. And that's supposed to be the benefit of the ninth generation. You know, frame rates, performance, that should be the benefit, you know, not graphical fidelity, because I think as much as everybody likes the eye candy, it's how the game plays, which should be the deciding factor. And if these developers put more effort into the performance side of it instead of just making everything look as ultra clear and crispy as they possibly can, we'll probably get there one day. But 60 frames per second is always going to be the goal, no matter what.
Right. Now, look, I'm not saying that I haven't played a game that was under 60 FPS recently. I have two games that come to mind. The Quarry. I played my first run through. I played I was streaming it. It was having some weird. It was brand new. It was a brand new game. It was having some weird performance issues. And because I do streaming all within one box. I don't have a streaming PC at the moment. I actually had to limit it to I think there was I forgot the name of the mode that they have in there, but it's essentially 30 FPS while I was on stream, in order to smooth things out, because it would have these weird like cases where there certain things would like be sped up, like not everything was running at the same frame rate on screen. There was a particular part that will always stick with me, where like you walk by a swing and the swing is just swinging frantically for no reason.
Right.
And I was just like, what the heck is that? And then like certain characters would be talking and their lips would speed up and then slow back down. And I'm just like, yo, like I didn't like that. Now, when I ran through the game again off stream to make sure that, like, because like 3 people died in my first playthrough on stream, but I ran it again and I played it, had everyone live. I played it with the frame rate unlocked as usual. It hovered with like at ultra settings around like 75 to 85 frames per second. It's a little bit of a demanding game, but it was fine at that point. After a couple of patches, as Dusk Falls, I think I played it at mostly 60 FPS, but I think I can't remember if it was at 30 or 60. I just don't remember. But that game with that whole, like, the way the characters are like still pictures, like it really, yeah. That is the most jarring part of the whole game anyway, whether it was at 60 FPS or not. But regardless, like, that stuff is not acceptable to me. It's just not. Like, there's no way I could go back to say playing Spider-Man at less than 60 FPS. I actually recall playing when they came out with the 60 FPS patch, and then like playing it at 30, then playing it at 60, then trying to go back to 30. It was just like there's no way. Shout out to John the Dom, the $2 super chat. He says, I hope games have 60 FPS when last gen is. I hope games have 60 FPS when last gen is dropped, when they're no longer supporting last generation. I will hope so. Like the hardware that we have here is still pretty new. They haven't, developers haven't got the most out of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X yet. So it wouldn't be surprising me at all that like years from now, we're no longer dealing with cross-gen games that 60 FPS is the standard. At least I hope it is. But Forte, when it comes to games still having like the performance mode, quote unquote, and the cinematic, how would they want, quality mode, cinematic mode, whatever they want to call the other mode. Like, I've noticed there's still some games that have 30 FPS for that other mode, and then their performance is 60. I'm of the mind now that like performance mode needs to be 120.
Oh yeah, easily.
Like, forget that. No, performance mode needs to be like that's 120 frames per second, and then the quality mode is 60 frames per second. Like, I just don't think. Oh yeah, John, fidelity mode, whatever they want to call it, whatever it is, it needs to be 60. Like, shout out to Insomniac with Miles Morales, right? This is what they did. They had a quality mode which was like 4K with light ray tracing at 30 FPS, but then they had a performance mode which was 60 FPS. I think it may have been 1080p. Actually, I think it was dynamic. I think it was all dynamic resolution, but like, so it would fluctuate between like 1080p and 1440p. Regardless of that, they came out with a ray tracing performance mode, so it gave you like super light ray tracing. I think it was just ray traced reflections, I think, but you got some ray tracing and still like rock solid 60 FPS. I gave them a standing ovation on that. I thought that was awesome. But in the future, like when Spider-Man 2 come out, I want performance mode to be like 120. Like, forget the 60. 60 is the bare minimum. Like, 60 should be fidelity mode going forward. What do you think about that? What is your feelings on it?
It should have always been the case. I mean, performance mode before was 60 frames per second lock. It's always been 60 frames. And it hasn't even been a lock 60 frames. You know, one of my favorite games, God of War, its performance mode was 4K, like 40. It set up to 60, but it was really like 45 to 50.
Right, yeah.
So
it was a bad performance mode, actually.
That was their performance mode. And then you have some games that do 1080p 60 and stuff like that. That's pretty much where the Xbox Series S lives at when it comes to their performance mode, if you want anything more rock solid than the 60 frames. And I think that's the one thing I will give Xbox the most credit for, because they have done a really, really good job in their performance modes for a lot of their first party games or whatever games they're talking about, really pushing the envelope when it comes to that 120, because you see it with the S, you see it like on Forza and stuff. If you want the performance mode, that goes all the way up to 120 and stuff. So some games and some studios are already doing that, but I think the norm should be like, hey, we're asking people to go out and spend all this money on these high-end TVs and stuff. Well, they're not asking people are doing it, but these TV manufacturers they're pushing it. They're using 120 as a selling point. And then you got Microsoft especially having marketing deals with Samsung and stuff, where you would think that they would want to take advantage of the highest frame rates that you could possibly get on that TV. So I think performance mode should always be 120, just like I think 1440p should be like more of the standard is what people should be looking for. I understand that, like, you know, that's unrealistic for a lot of people because they're playing on TVs and most TVs don't support that, and they're just going to scale up to 4K anyways. But there's a lot of different adoptions that need to be changed across the industry when it comes to like minimum recommended, you know, and just overall fidelity and, you know, graphical performance and stuff like that. So I think in general, 120 should be always a performance mode, and just the base experience should be 60 frames per second, because why would you have a performance mode that is less than 60 frames? That just doesn't make sense to me.
No, I do want to, because like I see some comments in the chat. Snowdragon saying 120 on first person shooters. I think that's pretty standard right now. You got performance mode on the first person shooter. I think Halo Infinite performance mode was 120. I think all the Call of Duty's performance mode on next gen consoles is 120. I think that's should be a standard for first person shooters. Just
absolutely.
Out the break. Rob the Don says,
I would say even fighters.
Yeah. Well,
no, fighters are kind of coded a little. They're coded a little different. Their frame the frame pacing matters more.
Yeah, you need 60. to just stay at 60. As long as it's a solid 60 with good frame timing and frame pacing, you should be straight.
You should be good.
I mean, I'm not into fighters like that. I just know that a lot of people who are into fighters that we know, like our panel member all day, they 60 is like, I don't think anybody in the fighting game community wants more than that. Maybe I might be wrong. I just don't think that that's something that's like they find to be important. I think that what they find to be important is good netcode. and you know, and rollback and rollback stuff. So yeah, that's way more important for them. Robert Don says, good luck with that, slow-mo. You know these consoles aren't powerful enough. They actually are, Rob.
They are.
In most cases, I think they are. And it just depends on the game. And it depends on what the developer is trying to do with the game and the engine that they're using it for. So, like, it's probably not going to be possible for something like, say, Remedy and their Northlight engine. Because if you look at how, like, demanding control is, more than likely Alan Wake 3 isn't going to have 120 frames per second mode. But with that kind of game, especially with this one's going to be a little bit more towards the horror side, I don't think you really need it. I think 60 is just fine for that. But when you have a lot of games running on Unreal Engine, and we see a lot of other Unreal Engine games that are being able to hit that mark on the consoles, or if you got a proprietary engine, but that engine has been like really designed, customized, everything about it is all about like getting the most out of the assets that you have available for the IP of the game, then I think, you should be able to get that done. I think hitting 120 isn't unreasonable for a performance mode. I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
It's not. At least it shouldn't be.
Bladex says Forte forgot Insomniac unlocked all their PS5 games frames. Yes, they did. After the update that added VRR to PS5, I think Insomniac unlocked their frame rates. So that's good.
That's always great, but not everybody's going to go back and play your game after the fact.
Right. Insomniac is different than everybody. Yep. Like we saw a lot of people complaining about like not getting a 60 FPS for The Last of Us Part 2 on PS5, and I think as well as Ghost of Tsushima. And also they had put out Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, which a lot of us was running at 120 FPS after all the patches. Meanwhile, the PlayStation version was still, at 30 FPS, even on PlayStation 5 up until they finally put the patch out. So, I think we forget how far developers, the tools that they use and the software that they use, how far we go like per generation. If you look at the beginning of last generation, you look at then at the end, like it's like night and day looking at the majority of these games. Like a lot of those games at the beginning of last generation looked like 360 and PS3 games. Well, a couple of extra details. So you look at later in the gen and you're like, "But damn, that looks amazing." You couldn't imagine this game right here playing on a PlayStation back in 2014. But this game is playable on that hardware, you know, maybe not at the frame rate I'm playing it at, but it's playable. And so it's just like it's hard for us to imagine consoles doing more, but they can do more. They absolutely can do more. Anything else you want to add to this topic?
No, man, just
minimum
first
frame
of all,
rate.
the minimum frame rate, man, 60 frames per second.
Crashing the podcast.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Hi, gaming addict. How's it going?
I found the key. I found the key.
Okay, what's up, bro?
You found the key.
Yeah, I found the key, man.
We got to start locking the door.
Exactly.
You should probably take the key out of that fake rock in front of the house, man. It's pretty clear.
Oh
You got all these pebbles, and you got this big black key that's hidden in this. What's that one thing in the comic books with Superman where like he's got a key under his mat, but it's like made out of like a star, so it's like super heavy.
Yeah, we might have to hide that key in a different spot. But what's going on, bro? How you doing, man?
Nothing much, man. What was you guys talking about? I assume you guys are about to end the podcast.
No, we're like maybe a third of the way through it.
That's all you got to say?
Sorry, my girl keeps asking me questions. But
listen, man, if you gonna come in here, you gonna have to contribute.
I always contribute.
Okay, well, listen, your girl is on hold right now.
My girl's on hold right now. I don't know how she would feel about that.
Hey, tell her I'm in a party with her all the time. Tell her.
So we're talking about the minimum acceptable frame rate. Okay, then go lead. Whoever's hosting, I don't know. You guys.
Well, no, we already said RP. We was about to move on. What do you got to say about minimum? What do you think about the whole minimum?
Said.
Well, what did Slow-Mo say?
I don't know, but I agree with whatever Slow-Mo said.
Oh my god.
Nah, I'm joking. Like when it comes to it, like I think that we've gotten to the point where 60 is the minimum. Like, I don't care if it's an RPG, I don't care if it's anything, because if you start letting these developers choose for us, then they're gonna do 30 frames just because some games they want to do something, or it's just like, nah, like I want you to build the game around 60 frame gameplay. And
that's basically what we were coming down to, what we agreed on, that 60 has to be the minimum. There's been a lot of talk recently that like some people think 40 can work, or some people are fine with 30, and I'm just like, nah, man, it's gotta be 60 or bust.
The only time I will play 30 frame games if I have to. Like, I absolutely have to. That I'm a bitch the whole time, but I'll play it.
Oh, bitch.
Yeah, man. So we were ready to move on to Cult of the Lamb, actually, which is a game that just came out today. I had my impressions on it. Forte, you haven't had the opportunity to play it yet, right?
Not yet, but I have it installed.
Addict, have you played Cult of the Lamb?
No, I don't even. To be honest with you, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, Cult of the Lamb is like this. It's kind of a roguelike game, but it's got like some other elements that are very like Animal Crossing-ish, kind of with the cult part of stuff, where you can actually. Good.
Is it me, or is like the rogue aspect of games just becoming so common now? Like everyone wants to have some rogue type of game in their gameplay now.
Well, I think it's the gaming industry being the gaming industry. When they see something that's successful, if for another developer, they decide, hey, well, we could do that too. Especially if they see something like a particular game design or a particular element is really good. They try to implement it in their game. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think in Cult of the Lamb, it definitely works. It's the runs are much smaller than say like a Returnal or Hades. Hades, man, Returnal, you can have runs for like that last like hours. In Hades, they could last anywhere between like 30 to 40 minutes. A lot of times shorter if you're really being efficient. The runs I've had so far in Cult of the Lamb have been like 15 minutes, but there's no healing, so it's like it can get really like hectic in the I think maybe my last like 3 or 4 rooms, if I got hit one time, I was dead. So it was like I was really trying to make sure I didn't get hit, but I'm really enjoying the game. All of my followers I named after people I know in the community. So like Forte was my first my first cult follower. I've got Luca in there, I've got Villain, I've got Deli in there, I'm just adding people every time I get a new follower. I just name them somebody in the community. But it's a fun game. I think Devolver Digital is, once again, they don't miss. They don't really seem to miss. I think all their games that they publish all seem to really hit really well. So I'm enjoying it. Forte, are you gonna play it tonight?
Yes, tonight.
What about the game? Like, what have you seen from the game that really like speaks to you about like?
Dude, it's the same thing that happened with. I'm not gonna lie, it was the same thing that happened with what's the name of that other game with the crow?
Oh, Death's Door, yeah.
Same thing that happened with that game. It was just a really cool protagonist. We saw a crow walking around looking like with a lightsaber stick in his hand, and I was like, "Yo, this looks really interesting." The art style was really cool, and this is a freaking lamb walking around with a sword in his hand, and it kind of has the same appeal. And I just like the art style of it, and it just like really, really cool. And I think they did a really good job showcasing it during the showcase when they did show it off. So it got a little bit more interest in it from me from that. It was like one of the highlights from that show, by the way. So
yeah,
that's what kind of made it stand out to me. But the fact that it's literally a lamb running around with a sword in his hand, and it looks really good is the reason that I'll pick it up. Not because of No Infinity, because of the developer or anything. I just like looking at cool things like this that's different, and I think that's what kind of drew me to it.
I'm telling you, if I didn't have to prep for this podcast, I would have played this all day. Like I would have completely been behind at work and been just trying to make it up tomorrow, because I would have been playing this all day long. I didn't want to stop playing that. I think I played for like maybe about 45 minutes. But I didn't want to stop playing it. It was it's just that good. You can change. It's not just the sword the whole time. You can change weapons. I've had an axe before. It's a little bit slower to swing it, but it does more damage, of course. And then you'll level up and you'll get other weapons, and you can kind of choose which you want to keep and which you want to give up. But some of the elements that I said are like Animal Crossing, even though I've never played Animal Crossing, but I heard a lot of people say, hey, yeah, that's like Animal Crossing. But so you'll have your cult, and you'll have like your area where your cult is, and then you can build like a shrine to yourself, I think. I don't know if it's to you or if it's to like some other god that saves you from being sacrificed, but it's like your followers will do the worshiping, and then you'll put them to work and be like, hey, mine this, mine that, we need to build this stuff, you gotta feed them, you gotta think about this stuff. Right.
So you're saying all this, and I have one question.
Yeah.
And don't clown on me when I say is it in Game Pass?
Oh my god. No, it's not in Game Pass, but it's
no, you gotta pay for this.
It's $25. It's $25 game.
I think I'll wait for Game Pass.
Oh my god. That is terrible. This is a great game. You gonna wait for
and it will be even.
What if it doesn't come in the Game Pass?
Well, then you're not picking up on that deep sale.
Yeah, I don't even know. Is this on? Also, I gotta check that, because like
it's on console. It's on console.
It is? Oh, okay.
That's where I bought it at.
Because I just knew it was on Steam. That's all I cared about. But no, it's not. It's not on Game Pass.
Oh, that is a shame.
It's I guess it's a shame.
Man. They almost had.
I ain't gonna lie though, Slow. I did look to see if it was in Game Pass before I bought it.
But here's the thing: is that you still exactly. You was like, "Ooh, this is a game I want to play." Man, but it's not in Game Pass. Oh, I gotta spend $25 on this. Hey, it's just $25 though, man. It's $25. Nah, it's not much, man. But no, all right, I'm enjoying it.
I just bought it.
Thank you. There we go, Addict. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to Snow Dragon.
I'm kind of surprised that you didn't even really was interested in it, because you play a lot of obscure games and stuff like this.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I just got through
you have been playing a lot of different games.
Yeah, I just got through, because I've been reviewing like pretty much damn near a game every week for IOP, and I told them after that, because I've been doing it because I wanted to get more content on the channel. And after I played Symphony of War, I was like, yeah, I'm done until I think Saint Rose, the next game I'm gonna play.
You see, Brap said I'll wait for it to come to Game Pass, right?
Brap said that too.
He said it in the chat. Enrique.
Shout out to Snow Dragon with the $5 Canadian. Says, who is making a Blade game right now, and when does it release? I don't know if anyone's making a Blade.
Guess what?
Game.
You know who does have something with Blade in it? Fortnite.
Sure does. There's a skin in Blade.
Straight to Fortnite is a
right
Blade.
It's a really nice skin too.
With the emote.
That emote's pretty fire. I actually
see. I think that I will say that indie games do get hit with that. If it's not on Game Pass, I ain't buying it. But here's the thing: like, if you don't buy that game anyway, what are the odds of you buying that if Game Pass didn't exist? Probably slim to none. So it's just like, you know, I feel some games, you know, if they don't get that Game Pass bag, the sales probably will get hurt a little bit on Xbox, because people will assume it's coming. But if you are actually serious about playing that game, you would have bought that. Game Pass couldn't convince you to wait for it. Most of the time you're seeing people that most likely was on the edge and they probably weren't going to buy it, or you're seeing people that claim that they were going to buy it, but because Game Pass they didn't. And I don't believe that. Like, we're gamers, we're very impulsive people, and I don't, if you truly want to play a title, nothing's going to stop you from playing that day one. But if you don't, then obviously you're going to say, well, I'll wait for Game Pass. I'll wait for PlayStation Now Plus or whatever that is. So that's what I feel like, you know, a lot of that goes on.
I do agree with that. When it came to Stray, I wasn't really hyped for Stray like that. If it wasn't in the PS Plus subscription, I wouldn't have bought that game. I wouldn't have played it, because I didn't really, it wasn't a game that like I really cared for to really indulge in. And I haven't played it since I did like an hour, so you kind of shows how much I really felt about it. I didn't think it was an awful game. I just didn't really care. But like, yeah, like that's kind of like where those kind of services really shine and really help some of those games out. Like, a lot of people probably tried Stray out. Some liked it and some didn't, but those are the people that were already on the fringe to begin with. The people who really were like hyped for it. All the cat lovers out there was like, yeah, Stray, day one, I love it, can't wait, right? And then the rest of us was just like, I mean, it's in the service, I'll give it a shot, you know? So if it was like the most amazing game ever, then people would have been like, well, damn, I'm so happy I played this.
I don't know. Sorry, go ahead and finish what you're saying.
Yeah, I was like, you know, if it was the most amazing game that was ever made, and people have been like, well, this is the best deal. I'm so glad I played it through this service. But I think like quality titles, when they're in these subscription services, they're the ones that benefit the most, because the quality always rises to the surface. And if you put something in a service, like for example, Hades, amazing game. I and a lot of other people didn't even play Hades until it showed up in Game Pass. When it did, I was like, man, this game's amazing. I'm hooked. I bought it on Steam, bought it on Xbox, I bought it on PlayStation. I bought it on damn near everything that I could buy it on. So it's, you know, like when the game is really worth it, then like people really will engage with it and buy it, and, you know, keep playing it. So,
and plus, you know, gaming is regardless what people want to say, gaming is not a cheap hobby, and a lot of people, you know, it's between one game or another, you know, and that's why I feel like a lot of the indies fall down on the waistline, because people are like, look, this game looks good, but I'll only play something like that if it comes in a Game Pass, because like, you know, you got Saint Rose right around the corner, and a lot of people only got money for one or the other. They don't got money for both.
Yeah,
So,
I get, but me personally, I will buy this 6 times before I buy it. I'll buy Call of the Lamb 6 times before I buy Saints Row. That Saints Row game, I'm not too happy about that. No, but no, this game's pretty cool. I'm really enjoying it. Like, Forte, I can't wait to hear your impressions of it. I'm still like in like the first area, because like you can probably see it now. Like, you go out and there's like four doors where like big main bosses that you have to defeat, but you do have to go into each like of those regions that those bosses kind of like maintain multiple times as you try to build yourself up. So it's not as short as I thought it was going to be, but that's fine with me because I'm having a good time with it. So if it takes like 20 plus hours, then so be it. I'm gonna have a good time with it. Anyway, also Attic, I'd love to see how you feel about it. You just bought the game, so like I'm pretty sure you're gonna probably play it pretty soon. I wonder how you feel about it too. Have either of you played the Diafield Chronicles demo?
No, I don't play demos.
Well, what are you King David now? You don't play demos now?
It's not. I don't mind like preview program stuff because I feel like my input can improve the game. But I feel like demo is literally just a marketing ploy, and it's just like I prefer to not play something that they cherry picked out of the game to try to sell me the game.
I would say go ahead for a second.
No, I said I understand that. I saw Math playing it and it was looking really interesting. I didn't download it because at that point I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna play it because it was like, and plus I probably just caught it because it was super late at night and I was like, yeah, it looks cool. And then I like watched Math play for like 20-30 minutes and then I like fell asleep. But I heard really good things about it, so I'm definitely probably gonna download the demo. I think I already used what I was gonna use because I try not to like completely overdo like with a bunch of different games, because when I do that a lot of games don't get played and stuff. So I'll probably look into it, at least do the demo and then see if I'm interested and then try it after I'm done with Call of the Lamb.
Yeah, I tried the demo and admittedly I didn't know really. I knew this was kind of like an RPG, but I didn't really know like what kind of RPG game it was. And then I played it. When I got into the combat, I was shocked that it was very much like a Halo Wars, or
really?
Yeah, like you're moving you in a way like you can move all your units together like that. But then it also is kind of like a strategy RPG in a sense where you can actually get into detail with like healing your unit, have them do a special attack against a particular enemy. That kind of thing. So it's a little bit of a mix of both. The story's very generic-ish. Like I wasn't all that interested in anything that was going on story-wise. This is why I like playing demos, because sometimes a demo on a game that I was on the fence with can help me make the decision whether I'm going to get it or not. Now, this game's going to be in Game Pass, right?
I think so.
I think this might be a launch game in Game Pass. I can't remember if it is or not. Regardless, I'm probably not going to play it after playing the demo. I'm just not all that interested now. But like when I played the Scarlet Nexus demo, that sold me. I'm playing it out day one. Scarlet Nexus? I love Scarlet Nexus.
I'm shocked you haven't at it.
The Tales of Arise demo did that for me too. Go ahead.
I haven't even played Tales, which I don't know why. Like every time I play like a Japanese role playing game, like I have a hard time like gravitating towards something that I'm not gonna play. Like I generally lean towards like, you know, strategic games, turn-based games, you know, something like that. And I don't know, like I think Tales of Arise. I actually think I would like Tales of Arise if I actually gave it a chance. But like, there's something about Scarlet Nexus that didn't just sit with me too much.
Well, they are. I would say the Tales of Arise story is a bit more straightforward and less anime-ish, if that's a word, than the Scarlet Nexus story. The Scarlet Nexus story can get very convoluted, but the Tales of Arise story is a lot easier to digest. It is not like a ton of characters all over the place. And until you get near the end, where near the end, Tales of Arise I think kind of ran away with it with like 45 minutes of talking in between actual combat. I was just like losing my mind. But the characters, I think for both games have really good characters, and I think their combats are similar but different. Like I know there are people who prefer the Tales of Arise combat over the Scarlet Nexus combat. I'm the opposite, but I think I really enjoyed combat in both games. So if you like the combat, then you're gonna enjoy really spending a lot of time in the game. But it was I think the demos for both of those games are what really sold me on them. And with this one, the demo didn't sell me. It's not a terrible game or anything. Nothing that I played like made me want to go like, this is absolute garbage. It's just not really what I'm interested in playing right now. Yeah. Forte, are you gonna pick this up, or are you gonna what are you gonna do?
Like I said, it just depends after I'm done with what's the name. I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool, but do I really want to get into another RPG? Like, did they say how long the game? Do we have an idea of how long the game might be?
I have no idea. I'm about to look it up now, because like, you know what, I am got to the stage now where it's just like,
I gotta know how long these games are.
Yeah, look, you know, if for something like, say, and I love Persona 5, but Persona, let there be a game come out right now and let's say the first playthrough is 100 hours. No.
Yeah. Nope.
Nope. I ain't playing it. Just because I in 100 hours, I could beat like 4 different games in that time period.
I'm okay. I'm still okay with playing 100-hour games, but it's got to be good. It's got to be real good. Like,
yeah.
I'm not trying to play like average 100-hour games anymore. I'll drop you after 10 minutes. Like,
yeah, I see nothing that says how long the actual game is, but the demo is 3 hours long. So, yeah, 3 hours.
It's never a good look. Demo 3 hours. That's never a good look. That's probably about to be one long ass game. Like,
yeah. It based off of like the way the game is, like a lot of the dialogue, it's all voice acted, which is good, but there isn't a lot of animation in the cutscenes, which allows them to pack a lot of content into a game without actually having to animate everything. So that usually is the reason why a lot of games aren't like super long. This game probably is going to be pretty long, so I'm good. I'm good with that. Like Mr. Xbox said, Dragon Quest 11 is like 100 hours. That's exactly why I haven't played Dragon Quest 11 yet. I own the game.
That was a phenomenal game, though, man.
That
was a phenomenal game.
I don't even know what the main menu looked like.
I have it.
That game is. I will say that game is worth putting the time into. I will say that game is worth it.
Yeah.
It gives you the option between like free roam and turn based, and it's a really good game. It's probably one of the best Japanese JRPGs we've had in years.
Yeah, I heard someone similar say that about Ni no Kuni 2, which I also own. But I heard that I also haven't played that one as well, because I didn't hear 100 hours with that one, but I heard it's well north of like 50, and I'm just not in the mood to play one game for that many hours like that. I just can't do it at the moment.
It's what I have no problem with like long games, because I generally stick to one game at a time, especially ever since I cut like Destiny 2 out of my diet for a good point.
Oh, good for you.
A good portion of it.
Good for you.
He said good for you.
It's just like, it's got to be good. Like, it's got to keep my attention the whole time, because I've noticed with games like The Witcher 3, every time I try to go back to it, if I end up missing like a week of not playing that because it's not grabbing my attention 24/7, like, you got to be so good and be so long that I'm thinking about playing that game when I'm at work. Like, that's the only way those are going to work, because if I lose my attention span towards that game and I play anything else, When I come back, I'm like, I have no clue what's going on. Well, this is getting uninstalled. Like,
Right.
Yeah. And that's also something that, like, I'm having an issue with Trails of Cold Steel 1, which is like, from everyone that's played the series, they speak so highly of it.
I have that game.
Have you beat it?
No.
Okay, so like I'm like maybe about 15 hours in, and it's a cool game, but like everyone that's played was like, oh, but it doesn't really like get good until 2 or 3, and I'm like, I mean, I gotta play through a full game until I get to like the real good meat of it. But like that's not like very appealing off the break. But a lot of my issue is that that game is also very long, and I've had long spurts of like not playing it, and then I go back to it and I don't remember what's happening. Like, I'm in a village. Who are these characters I got again? Where are their issues again? What's happening? Like, it's too much. Yeah.
That's why I wish more games would take like the Dragon Quest 11 approach, where like the moment you load into the game, they give you a like pretty much a rundown on like the last like 10 hours of the game, like what's happened.
Yeah.
So okay, at least at the very most, I can refresh what's happening in the story wise.
Yeah, I agree with that. Forte, even though like Forte, you don't play anything but Destiny, it seems.
A lot of stuff.
You don't play nothing long.
No, I got. What is the longest game I played last generation? Maybe God of War.
That's not even that long. That's like 20 hours.
Oh no, I put 52.
Yeah, if you do everything, it will take.
Yeah, I did everything, so I did 52. But it takes a special game for me to do that. I think outside of that, I think the most I put in, or I could tolerate in a sit, is probably 15. Kind of is like my point now.
Unless it's a 15-hour game. I mean, like, that's like Spider-Man 2018. Yeah. You know, like
like I did when I did Shadow Warrior 3, that took me about 12, 13. I don't know, I'm like really weird when it comes to like certain games. Like certain games just click with me, and then I just know life and beat them. Like that was when I did Shadow Warrior, it was like a 4-day period where I just played nothing but that and got it out the way, and it was a really good palate cleanser. When I did God of War, I think I played that for like 3 weeks, 50 hours over 3 weeks, and just played nothing but that, like 2 hours here, 3 hours there. I think one day I think the day I beat it, I think I put like 6 hours in or 7, because I knew it was close to the end, and the closer you get to the end, the more time you put in.
Yeah, which, like, when it came to Tales of Arise, multiple times I thought I was at the end of the game, and I put in like a crazy amount of hours only to find out that the game wasn't over yet. That was just like, oh my god, it just keeps going on. I enjoyed that game until I think like maybe the last 10% of that game was a little much. But no, I mean, look, this game's gonna be fine. Like, if you're into these kind of RPGs, then I would say, like, don't take my pessimism about playing it to heart. Like, still check it out, especially because it's a demo. Play the demo. It's free, so you can see for yourself whether you really want to play it or not. But I guess we can move on to our final topic. Topic of the evening. This Xbox and PlayStation debate with this Activision Blizzard acquisition. Let's have a talk about this, fellas. So I'll set it up. So like Microsoft had another response to some of the things that Sony was saying, and in their response they brought up that PlayStation has blocked some games from coming to Game Pass because they've actually paid those developers or publishers to not put those games on Game Pass, and that has sparked a lot of conversation in the community, in the gaming community, as well as with games media and podcasts in regards to what's fair, what's not fair, what Sony's been doing, what Xbox is currently doing in acquiring publishers and developers. And so I guess let's just discuss this. Now I'll start off with say that I do not care about any of this. This stuff is,
not care.
I literally do not care. Nothing that was said by Microsoft I felt was new. We knew from the Capcom leak that was that last year? I think there was a Capcom leak
last year
where we found out some games that they were developing. It was the first time we heard about Resident Evil 4 being remade, and then we also found out that Resident Evil Village, there was in the contract that the game couldn't be in Game Pass for a certain period of time. So we already knew Sony was doing stuff like this. So like, this is not news. Like, people acting like shock and awe, and I'm like, really? I didn't know.
Come on now, you already know what that's like.
Yeah, but all right, but Forte, what are your thoughts on this, man?
So honestly, I'm gonna be for real with you. I think, well, I'm always real with you, but it just sound good saying that way. I honestly believe that is what Sony's supposed to do.
Yeah,
if they're supposed to, like, people with these hot takes on this is Sony's anti-consumer and all this other crazy stuff. I'm like, listen, just like we had that say, just like I had that interview where I was like, listen, how can you tell Xbox what to do with their IP if they own it when it comes to Call of Duty? You can't, like, once you own it, yeah, you can scream to the mountaintops about what you want and what you don't want, but once they own it, if there's no regulatory sanctions against them, they can do whatever they want to do. You can cry to the moon. If they want to put it in Game Pass, they go put it in Game Pass. But when it comes to things that you are marketing and things that you want to have on your platform and want to have that PlayStation identity with, yeah, you should be putting stuff in, like, clauses inside of these documents saying that, yeah, you can play it. It can come to other platforms at a later date, but it can't go to Game Pass, because that undercuts everything that they want when it comes to, like, just their ability to sell games on their platform at that point.
There is millions of dollars being handled between these companies, and they're going to act like it's bad for Sony to double down and make sure, like, look, they have to go with the flow, man. If Game Pass is starting to be a factor, they got to start putting Game Pass clauses in their contracts.
Right. Right. Which, I mean, we knew this was going to happen. Like I think it may have been last week or it may have been the week before, but we were discussing whether we thought the current marketing deal with for Call of Duty between Activision, Blizzard, and Sony, whether there was a Game Pass clause in it already. And I said that it depends on when it was renewed. Because if it was renewed, say, like, maybe 3 years ago, probably not. But if it was renewed last year, definitely there's a Game Pass clause. Like, it's like, if it was renewed at a time where Game Pass was not growing at the clip that it grew it over the past 2 years, then I can see Sony overlooking it.
I don't think it is just because the deal's ending next year, and usually those are like 5-year deals.
Oh, it's ending next year. I did not know that.
Yes, they have 2 more games, and it's supposed to be this game and whatever Warzone 2 is. Those are the last 2 games.
So if it's a 5-year deal, that means it's 2022. It ends next year. If it's 2 games, that means it was renewed in 2018. Back in 2018, I mean, they acquired 7 studios back then, but I guess it's a kind of a toss-up at that point whether there's a clause in Game Pass in that or not. I would say probably not. I don't
think there is.
I don't think there is, because it definitely wasn't.
And to be honest with you,
then yeah,
I think if Microsoft went to Sony, they can probably negotiate putting it on Game Pass, because right now, this particular situation, Microsoft has way more cards to negotiate at that table than Sony does with that title.
You mean in the case that like they could just not allow it on PlayStation at all?
No, it's not even just that. Like, you know, we can do exclusivity stuff that's just for our games. You know, sure, the newer stuff is definitely ones that they like do remaster of all the Black Ops. Microsoft could easily put that on their platform only. Like, and not to mention they can come up and be like, "Don't play ball with us. We'll just rip them all off." And you know that might not make sense to us like financially, but the bluff isn't necessarily like they don't intend on doing it. It's a bluff. It's just
that would be kind of a bad bluff to do at this point, since they already publicly said they're not taking the game off of PlayStation, because they already kind of like gave up that card.
Yeah, but they said they would take Call of Duty off of PlayStation. You know, who knows? They don't go to them and be like, "You want that Overwatch?"
Right.
It's like we could do this the easy way, which you go ahead and have a good middle ground with this Call of Duty, or what we do is we have month exclusivities on everything. It comes to PlayStation, but a month afterwards.
Yeah, that is something they could do as well. Yeah, but I think part of the reason that I think Hogue Law has brought this up, as well as others. Last night on Brap, Game Logic brought this up as well. That like part of the reason why Sony is even doing what they're doing right now, of course, is business. Of course, you talk up certain things to try to get yourself in the best position possible, but that potentially that they could get the regulators to approve the deal, but approve the deal based upon certain not recommendations, but certain parameters. Like we approve everything, but in order for us to be fine with it, you need to change certain things or amend certain things. And maybe the reason why they're even bringing up Call of Duty and Game Pass in particular is that like they want. I'm of the mind that you get Call of Duty and launching in Game Pass, and it's going to solidify Game Pass on a lot of levels, and it's going to grow. And I don't think it's going to grow to the Michael Paxer's 100 billion level like that. I think that's a bit much, but it's definitely going to grow more than it is right now. And I don't think Sony wants that, of course. So, like, I think their game plan is that hopefully, like, maybe it may be a Hail Mary, but maybe they could get like the FTC to be like, you can't put this in Game Pass because of the level of the IP that it is. Even though, frankly, I feel like just because it sells more than everything else doesn't mean it's a different a special IP. You know, it shouldn't be treated any differently than anything else. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But what's that?
No. I was saying, yeah. I just like I said, in general, when it comes to this scenario, I just feel like they are 100% in the right to protect the investments that they have when it comes to these third-party games, and making sure that they have clauses to say that this can't go into Game Pass. We said the same thing when it comes to the MLB stuff. Like, that was an oversight, you know, and that wouldn't have happened normally. But the fact that MLB is the one that's publishing it gives them the right to be able to do that. Right. So when it comes to any other game, I guess Sony is looking at it like, listen, I don't think they're really worried about the game sale part of it. They're just worried about being undercut, because I always told people when it comes to Game Pass, it's going to come to a point where people are going to have to make a decision. Like, do you want to, okay, you may love your PlayStation, you may love it to death, but are you willing to pay exponentially more money for your games on one platform, where a lot of the games that are available that you want to play, like when Call of Duty and stuff comes out, and other games that are, you know, kind of rumored to be inside of another service, would you rather have the ability to say, hey, I just want to subscribe for this month to play this game for $15 a month, or do I want to just fork out the $70 for this game on another platform? That is becoming more and more of a reality. And people say that, well, Sony's not afraid of Game Pass. Well, yeah, they trust me, anything that takes money out of their pocket, they may not be afraid of it, but it's something that they want to avoid. And
they're definitely afraid of it.
And that's what this is. They wouldn't have did the things that they said during the regulation talks with the Brazilian government. Brazilian regulators, if they were afraid of it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in general, they're going to protect their investments more than anything. And if they know that Game Pass is a very serious player in getting something, then they're going to make those decisions to say that, hey, if we're going to give you this extra money to market this game, we want insurances that it's not going to get undercut by being in a competing service for a lot cheaper.
Here's the thing. They're scared of Game Pass, and people should be happy they're scared of Game Pass, because that is breathing competition into PlayStation. If they weren't scared of Game Pass, they wouldn't put these clauses in their contracts because they wouldn't care. If they weren't scared of Game Pass, they wouldn't restructure PlayStation Now because they care. Right. Like their mindset is like, look, like Game Pass is definitely a thorn in our side that's getting bigger every year. We need backup plans in case it becomes bigger than we can handle.
Yes.
Yeah, they definitely doubled down on their see, like they had already planned on live service games because they didn't do much of that or multiplayer games at all last generation. They had already planned on rectifying that before all this, but I think the acquisition of Activision Blizzard has them kind of double downing on that. I think the reason why they acquired Bungie is that they needed somewhat of a mentor to these games, so that like instead of like, well, we kind of hope maybe like 1 out of these 10 games really hits, that they're now hoping maybe like half of these games can hit, please. Like, can we get something so that by the time we lose the marketing of Call of Duty, by the time this game is now like when people see commercials for Call of Duty, they're seeing the Xbox logo at the end of it, and it's never being mentioned on PlayStation ever again, even though it is going to PlayStation again, continuing, that we aren't completely like relying on revenue from one game. Like right. we're not like, we don't want our competition's game being the game that sells the most on our platform. Like that's I don't think anybody wants that, right? So they would love to have maybe Haven Studios comes up with like an Apex Legends kind of game that completely like turns their platform on its head, and now they can really push behind that and market that compared to Call of Duty. And is that like, I mean, they even said so, I think, even though they were kind of exaggerating in their opening statements to the Brazilian regulators, that like there's nothing that can compare to Call of Duty, even if you put in the same resources, there's nothing compares. I mean, It's true and it's not true, because you can still be profitable with something else, it just won't be as profitable as COD. But you can still have alternatives for your platform that differentiate your platform from where it is right now. I mean, clearly, like, Nintendo's fine. Nintendo doesn't have Call of Duty, and they sell games great. Their hardware software is selling absolutely fabulously. Steam didn't have Call of Duty for a long time, and Steam is still the biggest platform, the biggest storefront on PC. So, like, you can live without COD. It's just that, like, do they want to take that hit? Because they've been relying on the multiplayer front on COD for a long time. And
the biggest thing is what the.
Hey, real quick before you go, let me do the super chat. Rob the Don 202, shout out to you, sir, with a $10 super chat. It says, first, I don't think they have a Game Pass clause in the contracts. Second, I don't see how the FTC can cause conditions with the deal. When Sony's supposed to have 10 games as a service in 5 years, one got hit. So, Rob, I don't know if you were aware or not, it was leaked the contract between Sony and Capcom, where for Resident Evil 8 / Resident Evil Village, there was this clause that it could not be in a subscription service for a certain period of time. So like there's that. So like there is clauses that are in these contracts. That's the only evidence of it that we've seen so far. Microsoft saying that to the regulators that Sony is paying to keep games off of Game Pass. They could be referring to specifically that Capcom contract, or they could be referring to more. But there is evidence of that, Rod. He says, I don't see how the FTC can cause conditions with the deal. Well, like there's precedent that the FTC can approve of deals pending changes to how the acquisition is done. Maybe like, and we've seen it in other industries. Like maybe it'd be like you gotta give up Blizzard or something, or that I'm just using an example here. You gotta give up this, or you gotta give up that, or you gotta break. You know, you can still continue to own it, but King can't be a part of Activision Blizzard anymore. They have to be separated. Like those kind of things. Those things happen. And a lot of times when it comes to these kind of acquisitions, not saying that it's going to happen this time or not, but there is the possibility that can happen.
People try to like downplay owning Activision. Like, I don't know if we can cuss on here. Like,
we try not to.
It's Activision. Like, we're not talking about like a small developer that. We're talking about the creators of Call of Duty, Overwatch, well, obviously Activision Blizzard, Overwatch, not League of Legends, WoW,
yeah, wow.
Diablo. These are titles that can jumpstart a console by themselves.
Yep. Very true.
And people sitting there saying that why would they put restrictions? Because it's Call of Duty. Like, it's like I said on ILP. Every person that has owned the marketing to Call of Duty's won the generation.
Yeah. Especially if you think about
it's not even close either.
Yeah. I know there'll be some people who be like, well, technically PS3 won. I'm like, look, if I stop running a race, okay, I was beating you for 95% of a race, and then I stop running it, and then I walk off the track, and you keep running past me. That doesn't mean that you won. That means you just kept running when I stopped. So like,
here's the thing: the moment that generation ended and they printed new consoles, that race was over. Yeah. They're on to the next race. Like, it's just like, look, like I get it. At the end, they did sell more. It's because Microsoft wasn't looking at that anymore. And if they would have took that's the reason they got cocky in the Xbox One, because of that success on the 360. If anything, you can blame on them losing that generation overall off of the bad publicity they got on the Xbox One.
Yeah, I also kind of blame the Kinect. If that Kinect wasn't just like, it was moderately successful for
it was more than moderately. They sold 12 million of those damn
things. I know. I still can't believe they sold that many of it, but like, damn, like that daggone Kinect. That was probably
the biggest mistake ever for Xbox, selling that many Kinects.
Oh
I appreciate you guys letting me come on and kick it with you for a couple topics, but I'm gonna spend some time with Grace before we go to bed. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Take care, bro.
Later, bro. Thanks for coming through.
Hey, he already
next time,
left.
knock on the door before you come in.
Exactly, right? You just walk on in, went into my refrigerator, took my Kool-Aid. No, but shout out to Gaming Addict. Shout out to the Iron Lords podcast. They go live every Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m. to whenever. Like, the podcast seems to go on forever. I think it just ended like maybe 2 hours ago. That's why he jumped in. But no, shout out to Attic and the Iron Lords. Shout out to Hargi Shani with a $10 super chat. What's up, bro? It says, with the current FTC, don't expect conventional rules. They aren't going to follow any previous standards. Also, if Sony is saying this stuff to Brazil, they're saying it to the others, including the FTC. That's a very, very good point. Hargi Shani, thank you for the super chat. And then also shout out to another $10 super chat from Rob the Don 202. He on his third point. Here we go. Third, COD isn't going to be every year as it is. We can discuss that too. Four, if it was the FTC, Sony would have to prove to me why they can't do day and date on their own service. I would bet they would catch up to Game Pass real fast. Let's tackle that in sections. The third, Call of Duty isn't going to be. I don't think that's been confirmed yet, Rob. But that is definitely something that Activision was discussing internally even before the acquisition. So I do think, I kind of agree with you. I actually kind of feel like they will go away with Warzone being a thing and Warzone 2, I think they're gonna go away from doing a every year thing, maybe a every other year for COD. Would they want to give up all that money? Because like COD, regardless of the quality of it, like I mean, like all the COD fans say Vanguard sucks, which is the last Call of Duty, but guess what sold more than everything else but Elden Ring? Call of Duty Vanguard. So, dude, it's really the trade-off. Do you want better quality and more time for your devs to get stuff done, or do you want money? And we'll see with that. The part with the FTC and day and date, I'm pretty sure that's a question that FTC is asking Sony. Like, so you have a similar service. Why aren't you doing day and date on your own service?
Right.
You know, and like, so like these questions will come up, and unfortunately with the FTC, things are going to be a little bit more under wraps than they are with the Brazilian regulator. So we probably won't know for certain what that's going to entail, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be pretty thorough with things. I do appreciate the super chat though, Rob. Appreciate you, bro. Shout out to Andrew W with the $5 super chat.
Andrew W.
W. I like to have my last name just be W. Like, you know, it's just W. I win out here, you know. No. Anyway, Andrew says the gaming world is so hypocritical. Sony being aggressive is good business, but Microsoft being aggressive is bad. Andrew, I will say this, man. Fanboys going to fanboy.
Yep.
So you're gonna have certain fanboys that's all their mindset is. Sony's aggressive, good business. Microsoft aggressive, bad, and vice versa. Because there are people who hate that. There are people who years ago, before these acquisitions started to roll out, where they felt like all games should be on all platforms. They shouldn't be exclusives anywhere. Then Microsoft bought ZeniMax Media, and it's like somebody flipped the switch. Oh, exclusives are fine. Right. We got Elder Scrolls, we got Fallout, we got Starfield, we got everything. Yeah, we got you never getting Doom again. Yeah, it's just like that's fanboys gonna fanboy, man. So like, there's always gonna be those people. It's not everybody, but there's always gonna be those people that will absolutely be that hypocritical. And it's just like, you just gotta ignore some of the noise. Mr. Everborn Saga wants a link. Forte, we want to let Everborn in here. I swear, if he says Sega,
yeah, I want him to come in so he can tell. I want him to come in. I want him to come in here mostly so he can explain how people in this community don't know who Gaming Forte is.
That's hilarious. Everborn, I will send you a link. I'm telling you right now, if you say Sega or Sonic at all, I'm telling you, like it's I'm getting you up out of here, man. Give me a second though. Forte, what are your thoughts on the last few super chats as I try to get this?
No, I mean, the biggest thing is I agree with what a lot of people are saying and stuff, but the biggest thing that ultimately is like, well, we all know that most gamers are hypocritical when it comes to the things that they want. You know, most of them in general don't know exactly what they want until it's shown to them, and for the most part, developers prey off of that type of sentiment when it comes to that. Compared to like, especially what Rob said, where he's talking about it. You know, I do think a lot of this is prevalent on how the release cycle is going to work. We don't know exactly how that's going to work until they actually do it. But I think that's actually going to be a very interesting component to exactly how next generation games are going to be, especially when it comes to Call of Duty and stuff. But I think in general, it's going to be a moot point for the most part.
Yeah, Everborn, I just see you're in the Discord. You can join the chat. There you go. Everborn, can we hear? Can if you're speaking, then can't hear you.
Turn your mic on.
All right. Well, he'll be trying to get his mic fixed.
Well, he trying to get his synthesizer to say Sega.
Hopefully, it'll be easier than Sega keeping their games at a stable frame rate. Anyway, And maybe this little mild slander between the two of us. Looks like he's trying to get it sorted out. No, I mean, look, like I think we're really hitting a lot of the big points here. Is that this is business, and some people tend to not like how business looks, especially if they're kind of rooting for one particular side or another. But you know, even though Destiny is going to remain multi-platform and everything that Bungie makes is going to remain multi-platform, if everything Bungie makes past Destiny was exclusive to PlayStation, like, well, hey, well, look, that's the way things are. That's how business works. When you acquire something, you acquire it for a particular reason. You acquire it because you want to get an advantage over your competition. You want to actually be able to get a leg up. That's the purpose of owning it. And if you don't, like, what's the purpose of owning something? And then, like, there is, I said this last night on Brap, when we were on Brap, that if I feel like if regulators go to Microsoft and say, hey, look, we'll approve of this deal, but you cannot have Call of Duty launching in Game Pass day and date. It has to have a certain period of time after its launch before it goes into Game Pass.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear you now.
Yeah, I had to set the mic up. My bad. I'm cutting you off.
Oh, no problem. I feel like if this is just me, if I was Microsoft, if I was Satya and Nadella, I'm like, nah, that's not why we acquired this. Like, of course, like the vast majority of the revenue that ABK makes comes from King, but a large portion of that console revenue, that's like $300 million, comes from Call of Duty. Like, I'm not just, like, if I feel like I can get a great advantage off of this, especially when Satya, like, part of his bonus comes from pushing cloud and pushing Game Pass subscriptions. Yeah, I want this for my bonus. So, I want to get paid. So yeah. Go ahead, everyone.
I think first of all, Sega, Sonic,
all right,
and Sega. I mean, but anyway, so I think there's a couple of things to it. I don't think that there is any chance in hell that the FTC says you can't put this thing in Game Pass, because I don't think that that's what they're looking at. I don't think anything Lena Khan has ever said leans in that way, and I know she hasn't spoken about this much, but she does seem to be very concerned with workers and customers. And if Microsoft's position is we're going to make things cheaper for customers, and we have the unions on our side who are literally recommending this deal, I'm not saying there's no consent decree. I just don't think the FTC is concerned with whether this thing goes into a service that has 25 million users at the moment, right?
That's true. But then also you got to think about the fact that the FTC isn't the only regulators that are looking at this. It's literally every market that Xbox
I think there's like 17 markets that Activision operates in.
And so I think maybe Sony in their game plan and all of this is maybe we can get one. Maybe we can get one to kind of push towards that goal.
But even then, these regulators, right? Like, even so, let's. And I know what you're saying. There's other locales where that can happen, but you know, they can suggest whatever they want. That's what, like, courts are for. And if they suggest something too ridiculous that is sort of outside of whatever Microsoft's board has plans for, they will push back. And they do seem to have very good lobbyists, because they learned that lesson after Bill Gates got the pie in his face. I don't know if you guys remember the dark days of Microsoft monopolies.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. I think Netscape Navigator remembers too.
Right, and the thing about that a lot of people don't remember or understand or whatever. Microsoft in those days felt like they didn't need lobbyists. They felt like that they were too big for that. And this is why Bill Gates, when he was running things, was so sort of bellicose when talking with them. I remember if you pay attention to that court case, Bill Gates said you remember the browser ballot that they got forced to kind of offer other people's browsers or whatever?
Yeah.
Bill Gates said this is like asking Coca-Cola to include a can of Pepsi in every 6-pack of Coke that they sell, right? But they were forced to do that. But again, they were forced to do that when they were the market leader, and they already had a long record of monopolistic practices in the areas that they were talking about. You don't really have that context here. And because Game Pass is such a new thing, I just don't think that's what they're going to be concerned with. They will. I definitely think there will be concessions, but I just don't think it'll be around any of the things that we think, well, not that we think are important, but the things that are important to us that we talk about every day. It's going to be things around, hey, you can't fire anybody. You can't raise a price. Maybe they'll say you have to, keep, and I even think that's a stretch. You have to keep Call of Duty multiplat. I mean, they would be fine with that because I think
they already gave that
anyway.
up. Yeah, they gave that up from the very start. So try to make this as quickly as possible. I think even if there is like a market out there that's not in the United States, it's not Brazil, because Brazil is very big for Xbox. But like another market that's out there that may have a problem with it, I think that, like, if you recall, there was a European country that told EA, you can't sell loot boxes in games that are sold in our country anymore. And EA was like, all right, well, screw you. We're not selling Fight FIFA in your country no more, because the country was too small to be that relevant to them. I think it was
Now
Denmark,
you said something important. You said something important there, and it just made me think of something in terms of when I say it's not going to be things that we find important. I think what you just brought up is it's ripe for the picking of a regulator, right? Hey, we have you by the balls right now, Activision and Microsoft. You're using predatory practices with your microtransactions, and that hurts customers for Candy Crush or whatever. We want to get something on paper, something down that says you can't do this and that with your microtransaction strategy for Diablo Immortal or Candy Crush or whatever. I think it's going to be little things like that. I really don't think they care about these exclusives.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's right. Yeah, like they probably really,
and that's a big thing. It's a little thing to us, but that's huge if they did something like that.
I did want to get these super chats real quick. Shout out to Rob the Don for 2 super chats. He says, with the first one, $5 super chat, says, I was never down playing ABK. My point is, their regulators supposed to predict future of the markets, and they would know nothing. They would know nothing stay on top forever. Okay, that is true. Like, eventually COD will get knocked off the top. Like, that's just, it's just the way,
COD knocked Halo off the top.
Yeah.
Sure did.
And Halo never recovered, thanks to 343. Anyway, shout out to Ramadan's second super chat. If I was the FTC, I would give Sony 5 years to 2027. But I will let Microsoft go day in day in Game Pass as soon as possible. And look, that might just be the case anyway. If you, what Addict said, Addict who was just here said it's true, that the deal was renewed with Sony in 2018. Therefore, it would be over in 2023. And if, like, what we thinking is true, that like Sony adding in clauses and contracts to prevent games from going to Game Pass at launch is more of a recent thing than like more than likely they didn't put that in a contract in 2018, and that it could, if the deal is done before COD comes out this fall, which I'm kind of doubting. I doubt it will be done this fall. But if it is done, when it is done, that they will be able to put the game into Game Pass whenever they feel like it, and I think that probably will be the case.
Well, one other thing about that, any sort of subscription clause, I know they had that deal with Capcom, right?
Yeah.
But Capcom is a $5 billion company, right? And when you put restrictions on a company, there has to be some levels of leverage there. I don't know that Sony had the clout to tell Activision, of all people, what they were going to do with this thing. They could trust it, but I don't know that they could make all those kinds of demands. So it's not just because they did it with Capcom, which is 1/20th of the size of Activision, doesn't mean they'd have the same bargaining rights or leverage with Activision to mandate something like that.
I think it would be determined upon like what was pre-acquisition Activision's stance on Game Pass. Because if their stance was very much close to what Take-Two's stance is, then that was a very easy concession to give up if it was even put on the table. That's true too.
Like, meaning they'd say, "Sure, Sony, you can have that."
Yeah, because we don't care.
We weren't going to put it in there anyway.
We're going to do it anyway. So,
right.
So good, sure, you take it. Like, and you know how negotiations are. Sometimes you pretend like you care about something that you don't really care about just to give it up later so you can get something that you do want. Or
like Microsoft pretending to care about the exclusivity on COD.
Right.
They were going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But let's throw them some red meat so that we can get away with the real money.
Right.
One thing though about Sony, I think the only because I was on, I do PTG with Boom and the crew or whatever, and Boom sort of called it like a doomsday scenario for Sony, which is they potentially lose COD, or even if they don't lose COD, it's holiday season. Timmy's mom walks into Forte's
please! I need to hear how. I need to hear the story. I need to hear how you were in a space and everybody didn't know who I was.
It's crazy. I don't get it, man.
I don't think it was everyone didn't know. It was one particular person.
It's all these new dudes, man.
It's these new guys. It's just like, who's Forte? I'm
got
sitting
people
there
calling you nautical these days. Nobody knows that.
Well, that's Luca.
Oh yeah, yeah. But the thing is that most people in this gaming community know who the great gaming Forte is.
Oh God, the great gaming
Forte. Literally the greatest GameStop manager that ever lived.
Also, you know what another problem is? Forte doesn't really comment on the drama, and the Twitter algorithm rewards the drama, so his stuff doesn't get bubbled up to a lot
Yeah,
which is probably for the best.
Happy with that.
And this show also, this show also does not recognize the drama. And as far as we're concerned, this show is concerned, the drama don't exist as far as the show. But go ahead, continue. We try to say drama free.
Yeah, but anyway, drama free and sucker free.
Drama free and sucker free.
So until I joined, but to the doomsday scenario was $199, holiday sale, Series S, COD on the box, Game Pass day one. What is Timmy's mom gonna buy, right? And I don't know how we started calling, like, Timmy's mom is now a proxy for every normal casual consumer.
Right.
But I don't know that it's necessary. I think it's a doomsday scenario for the status quo, but I don't think it's a doomsday scenario for Sony, right? I think and I think what they're worried about is losing the casuals, and they're worried about losing their market leader position, because a lot of the deals they've been able to get have been because of their position in the market. And while it would be almost suicide to forego the PlayStation audience, because there are so many of them, because they have so many casuals, because of things like the deal with COD with Activision, Sony can get a timed exclusive or a full exclusive from their partners relatively cheap, because again, you're not risking many customers by cutting out Xbox gamers.
Yeah,
right?
and to clarify, like, because I know that some people like seem to think that because there's so many PlayStation gamers that play Call of Duty, that when you say things like capturing the casual audience that plays Call of Duty, people think that these people, the same people who have been playing on PlayStation for years, are going to somehow forget that Call of Duty is still coming to PlayStation, where they've been playing it for years, and only play it on Xbox. It's not really that. It's the newer casual. It's the newer casual. Like, I remember Luca telling me that like years and years ago, she thought Call of Duty was only on PlayStation because that's what the marketing told her. Yeah. But Luca knows better now. But there's gonna be another Luca that's younger.
But I actually think it's worse than that though, right? Because there are so many people. Remember, all the casuals used to play Call of Duty on the 360. And then Sony got the marketing deal.
Yeah,
and
but it's a new generation that's also playing it. For the majority, are playing it on PlayStation. They were playing it on PlayStation last generation. That's a new generation of people. The people who love COD, they were playing on 360. They're still playing it on 360. I mean, they were playing on Xbox One.
Well, but here's the thing, right? They played it on Xbox One suffering because there were weapons and modes and all of those things that came first on the PlayStation.
Betas, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Right? So the hardcore COD players, and there are millions of them, they jumped ship, and they will jump ship. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it started with content creators. I know a lot of people. And COD was one of the most searched games on YouTube, and a lot of the content creators I followed, once they started switching over and the competitive scene went over to PlayStation, because that's where the marketing and everything was, slowly but surely you started seeing that happen, because there's no coincidence that the first year of the Xbox One and PS4, that sales were, PlayStation was still selling better, but Xbox was still holding its own during that first year, because they still had the Call of Duty marketing that first year with Ghost. But as soon as that Call of Duty marketing went away, that's when you saw the gaping chasm open up, because not only did the, like 2013 really bite them in the butt, but then they started losing exclusive content that they were having, because for a whole generation, people consider Xbox the best play to play shooters, and once Call of Duty got the marketing rights for Call of Duty, that seems to be not the place anymore.
And then Destiny, right? That was like,
well, Destiny was basically a PlayStation 4 exclusive, because you couldn't even show a box art of Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, I played it. I got I don't know how many hundreds of hours in the first Destiny on Xbox.
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
That's not playing Destiny.
That's like you played it for a weekend or something.
Yeah,
no, I actually stopped playing after the first reset, because then I was on to their game. I was like, I did all of this
first reset, then I was on to their game.
No, because the idea, there was no end game other than to keep you playing and wasting your time. But anyway, I don't want to have that.
That's every looter shooter, but Destiny does waste your time more than most. I will agree with that. Yeah.
Oh Lord, here we.
Well, Destiny was the first looter shooter that I actually took seriously, and then got away from. But anyway, I say all that to say, casuals, and I mean real casuals, it's not that they're gonna forget what's on PlayStation. They don't care.
They don't care about this loyalty thing. If there is benefits to them to play it on Xbox, they're gonna play it on Xbox. If the beta comes out a full month on Xbox before it comes out on PlayStation, they're gonna get an Xbox and play it on Xbox. If they getting all the new maps and all the everything extras, even though I kind of feel like, I don't know, like I guess it would depend upon like how free Activision really is after the acquisition. We know Phil Spencer's supposed to be on top of them, so to speak, in terms of like trying to clean things up as far as their culture goes. But as far as business and
questions about that too,
yeah,
about whether they're really going to be able to do that, but that's a conversation.
I don't think. Look, if you can't clean up some of the stuff's going on in your own studios, how you gonna clean up a whole different publisher? But like that's a whole different debate.
Let me say this. I say this on the shows that I'm on. I'll say it on your show. Bobby K is not leaving as soon as people think.
Oh no.
Right? People think the deal closes and then he's out the door.
No, they already said that he's got like an exit strategy. There's some kind of like it's going to be like a certain amount of months before he leaves. So it's not going to be.
I think it could be a certain amount, at least a year. I'm giving him, and maybe 2.
That might be a mistake if they do that. But like, hey, look,
it might be, but
it is.
Don't act like Microsoft hasn't made mistakes before.
Right? Yeah, all the time. Why is Frank O'Connor still employed? I don't know.
You know,
343. So like that's why I kind of feel like I'm not quite certain on them cleaning up, quote unquote, cleaning up Activision. But as far as business decisions are made, they aren't very much on the whole. Hey, we want to get this exclusive for this period of time and that period of time. Like they weren't on it the way Sony was on it with we want the maps exclusive. We want the beta exclusive. We want certain weapons exclusive. Like all that other crap that like Sony was making nickel and diming to get out of Call of Duty to make sure that it differentiated. Like this is why you should play it on PlayStation versus on Xbox. I'm not certain Xbox is down to do all that stuff.
Well, hold on now. I and this is another thing, right? Like, and I've been on this tirade of we need to normalize taking morality out of anything we see with these companies, right? They're for-profit companies designed to separate you from money in your wallet, right? Like, right. That's what they Microsoft, Sony, everybody, they're not your friends. But the thing is, Microsoft is not spending $70 billion to come in second place. Right? They're not. It's not about hugs and rainbows and things like that, right? They're gonna do these, and they're gonna do it in insidious ways, and they're gonna do things with a smile on their face. But they know the value of just the marketing, just being associated with Call of Duty, and they've said nothing. They've said they will keep it multi-platform. They've said nothing about parity, right? They
haven't, but there is a history of them not doing those kind of things. Look at Minecraft. Look at what they've said about the ZeniMax stuff that is remaining, like the stuff that's ongoing, like Elder Scrolls Online. There's been nothing said of like that on Xbox and PC.
But
it's coming out at a certain time, but then like it's coming out a month later on PlayStation. Like
here's the difference though, right? Minecraft, that was sort of part of the deal with getting them. And Elder Scrolls was always like that, right? Elder Scrolls never had, hey, PlayStation is getting something and Xbox isn't, or vice versa, right? Call of Duty, the licensing for it has always been whoever has this marketing deal will have, it was friends with benefits, right? You're gonna get, like, the Call of Duty IP and franchise has no problem gating features for whoever they're in bed with, right? And now they're getting married to Microsoft. So I think the difference there is Activision has a history of segmenting out or delaying content. Right? So I'm just saying, I think that continues. I don't think that, because remember, it's probably still going to be hands off. I think that they just do all the favors they did for Sony. I think they do that now on top of being in Game Pass.
I think they feel just having it in Game Pass is enough they wouldn't need to do all the other stuff.
That's
they just got
only if you think Microsoft are nice people.
I know. They're not
fair.
nice people, but so far, when it comes to that kind of stuff, they've been playing fair for the past generation and then some. So
you do.
They're
that
not
when you're
nice
coming
people.
from behind.
They're still coming from behind.
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, they haven't
Pause.
I mean, they're still, when it comes to the in console arena, the three big platforms, they're still third. So like they're still coming from behind. So I don't think that's going to change, at least not anytime soon. Shout out to Harky Shani with a $5 super chat. He says Bobby isn't leaving for years. Expect ABK to slow down as well, since Microsoft doesn't do crunch. I do 1000% agree with the second sentence. They're definitely going to slow down their cadence of releases, not just with Call of Duty, but with just everything, because
shout out to Hargy Shani coming through.
They're changing stances with crunch, which doesn't mean that Xbox Game Studios don't crunch, because they definitely do crunch at times, but they don't do the extreme crunch that Activision Blizzard seems to think is a way of life. So
I think if anybody listened to the interview that I forget the guy's name that was on the Iron Lords this past week from the past co-founder of Naughty Dog and stuff, where he had a really good explanation where he was talking about crunch and stuff, and how, you know, studios are still crunching, they're just making it more of a taboo thing across, you know, saying you don't have to do that, but studios are still doing it. It's nothing new. And the thing is, but publishers, they'll just turn a blind eye to it. They know studios are doing it, so they say as long as the product gets out there, that's all that really kind of matters. And they're just leaving it to the studios themselves to self-police themselves when it comes to crunch and everything. But crunch is going to still be a thing until, I guess, unions become a really, really big part of the gaming community, where that's something that they can negotiate inside of that to actually get some type of paid time leave and stuff like some studios actually do now.
I'm crunching at my job right now. That's why I was up this late. But I think the crunch, there's different levels of it. It's not just like working overtime. It is.
And a lot of people make that misconception. Yes.
Right. Yeah. It's a thing where they force you, and you are under pressure, where even if they don't explicitly say it, if you don't do it, you're going to be in fear for your job and things like that. So that's the kind of thing we want to get over. This idea where everybody, you know, turns off their phones and computers at 5 o'clock. I don't think that that's a thing that anyone's trying to do. It's more, I mean, maybe Microsoft is doing it with how long these games are taking to come out, but that's not what it's about.
Some would say this is proof they're not doing it because the games are taking forever to come out. But I think it's more proof of them being asleep at the wheel and not knowing what these studios are doing until it's like they missed a couple deadlines. You realize what the heck's going on.
I just truly think that studios haven't gotten to the point where they're 100% back. I mean, because it's like we will never really truly understand the impact of the last 2 years really have had.
No. Listen. Other studios and publishers have been able to release games.
Every studio. But see, you got to think, we're talking about every studio hasn't done that though. Every studio. Now there are some studios like
this is the only publisher that can't release games.
Listen, which one are we talking about?
Xbox Game Studios.
Oh no, we're not talking. I'm talking about developers in general. I'm not talking about just Xbox Game Studios.
But what I'm saying is that like the pandemic was a global pandemic. It wasn't a pandemic that focused solely on Xbox Game Studios.
This ain't got nothing to do with Xbox, because we got Midnight Suns got delayed and stuff like that. There's games getting delayed all the time. Forspoken got delayed. It's like we will never understand the impact of the last year to 2 years have really been on these development houses until 5-6 years from now, when they get back to a normal development schedule where COVID completely can't be a part of the scenario. I mean, the fact that we tried to ignore that did happen, and
ain't nobody ignored. No, I'm not dealing with this narrative that we're ignoring it. No, we're not ignoring it. It's just that Xbox Game Studios is the only one that still isn't releasing games. Hold on. Look, What did COVID have to do with Undead Labs' complete mismanagement of them trying to go AAA? If you look at the articles, everything that
but also Undead Labs released the game before that, so that had nothing to do with them at all. Their game
them
came
being
out before
in pre-production for 3 years has nothing to do with when their game released.
Their game, but like I said, we're not using. You can't use them as a thing because their game
Why
came out
not?
before, so they
has
can't
nothing
use,
to do.
They can't use
their
excuse.
mismanagement has nothing to do with COVID.
We know that. Listen, did you hear what I just said? I didn't just say Xbox Game Studios. I'm talking about all of these. It's a lot
But
of
you
studios.
brought it up in defense of Xbox Game Studios.
No, I didn't. You heard what I said. All of these studios, we will not know. I wasn't talking about just Xbox Studios. I just named games like Forspoken, Midnight Suns, all of these games that's got delayed out of 2022 into 2023. This has been a consistent thing. Xbox Game Studios just highlights it way more than anybody else because they haven't had anything in the course of the last 2 years. Everything that they release or they try to release, they don't have anything to buffer it out. So so in most gamers' eyes, it's mismanagement, which 90% of it most likely is. But for the rest of these other studios, they're still having some of the same issues and stuff. The only difference is they have released games over the course of the last couple of years, and we don't hold that to them as much as we hold against Microsoft.
That's my point. They've released games.
But here's the thing. I think it's all a lot of it with the people who were able to release games and the people who weren't. There's a lot of different factors of why they were able to release those games, right? Some of it is they were in production a lot earlier. A lot of the games that we've gotten so far this year, those were supposed to come out last year. So they were delayed and they were pushed back. And another thing is, in terms of the COVID impact, it depends on how if you're already dealing with a distributed team and everyone's working from home, like the people at Moon Studios.
That you weren't affected by that.
Or you weren't affected as much as people who their entire studio environment is designed for everyone to come into the office every day, and then you have to adjust to those things. So yeah, they lost a lot of time for mocap, but there's also other things that they had to get up and running. And I think the entire, not just the gaming industry, but work around the world has changed. We're all talking about these hybrid models or everyone's sort of just working from home full time. I haven't been to the office since March of 2020, right? So it can slow things down. This is not to make an excuse. It is just there are a bunch of factors why a lot of this happens. And I think what we're seeing with Microsoft right now in 2022 calendar year is their lack of investment from like 3 years ago.
Facts. That's the key right there. The fact that they waited until 2017 to purchase all of these studios, and then all the studios they purchased already had titles that they were already in pre-production with, or they were already about to release or already had released. So now you're working in an environment where they're not even getting games directly made just for them. They got to finish out projects that they were already working on for other studios. Then you get hit with the pandemic, and then everything else gets pushed back. This isn't an excuse saying that, just like you said, like mismanagement. We can't just say it's mismanagement and that's the beginning and end of it, without saying that, well, some of these studios probably did get impacted a lot heavily by the whole pandemic situation and stuff. But that still isn't an excuse, because it ultimately falls on Microsoft in the end, because they waited until 2017 to right wrongs that they basically started back in 2011. And that's the biggest problem. And if they never would have did that, then people would be perfectly fine with the offerings we got, but they didn't do it. They messed up on that regard.
Two things. Moon Studios was brought up. A developer that's all remote. Moon Studios has all kinds of dysfunction going on, and none of it has anything to do with the pandemic. This is what I'm saying about, like, you have to take it. You can't just put a blanket statement on all studios, regardless of Xbox studios or
But
not.
I mean, aren't you
I let y'all talk. Let me speak.
mismanagement?
Let me speak.
I'm sorry.
I let
sir.
y'all talk.
I apologize.
We can't make a blanket statement saying it's COVID or mismanagement. You have to look at each studio individually and see what their issues are and why they aren't releasing games. And in regards to my second point, in regards to Microsoft and not having games this year, they would have had a game this year if they would have managed Halo Infinite correctly, because it should have been coming out this year. So if they would have managed that properly, didn't try to force the game out as a launch game, then forced it out on the anniversary when they knew it still wasn't ready. If they would have actually had it come out when it was actually ready to come out this year, they would have had a first-party AAA game come out this year. Again, this is about mismanagement. It's mismanagement. It's
100%. Can't be 100% about mismanagement without all the other stuff.
The majority of it is mismanagement. You admitted it was mismanagement for the fact that they didn't even have studios to make games, first-party games in the first place.
I think they mismanaged with
That's
the whole studio
one. That's the one mismanagement. Second mismanagement is the fact that, like, they're forcing games to come out at times when those games aren't ready to come out, and therefore it leaves these gaps. And if you would have been able to naturally deal with the fact that a publisher that you acquired, both of their games got delayed this year, if you weren't forcing your other games to come out when they're not ready. So, mismanagement. Now, we do have another super chat from Hargi Shani, $10 super chat. He says, WBG delayed. What is that? WBG.
Border Games.
WB Games.
Oh, WB Games delayed 2 years. GT7, Horizon Forbidden West, and Ragnarok delayed at least 1. Breath of the Wild 2 delayed at least 2 years. State of Decay 2 came out in May of 2018. AAA games take at least 5 years to make. Xbox released 6 games, August 21st to January 22nd. Okay.
Talk to him. Talk to him, Hargeet.
Okay, I don't think he needs a hype man. What about this year? Okay, like, you're talking about all, like, well, WB had delayed games. GT3, Sony games got delayed. Sony got more first-party games this year than Xbox does. Sony had first-party games come out last year too. So that, look, they could buffer those delays. What's the only first-party game coming out for Xbox this year? Pentiment. I mean, let's.
Bad for Josh Sawyer because of Microsoft dropping the ball on first party.
Yes,
Pentiment is the butt of
I
everybody's
agree 1000%. Because look, Disco Elysium, love Disco Elysium. This game's supposed to be more like that. Josh Sawyer is a good developer. I think Pentiment's going to be a good game. Here's the problem though: it's ugly. That's one. The art style, that was a misstep. Because even Disco Elysium is an indie game, but it's got that watercolored look. It works. Nothing about the way Pentiment looks works. Now therefore, it can still be a quality RPG, right?
Yeah,
but the
it's
problem,
the same thing with Dusk Falls.
Yeah, it's these little games that are supposed to be your filler games in between big games are now being looked upon to be big games because you don't have big games coming out. It's the same thing that happened back in 2018 with State of Decay 2 and Sea of Thieves. Neither of those games should have been looked at as like your big offerings from a publisher. Neither of them. But because that's all Xbox had to offer in those years, they got put up against Spider-Man, Detroit Become Human, and God of War. It's not fair to those developers. I mean, because people look at it like way more than what it should have been looked at. You know?
I mean, to be fair, Sea of Thieves is a huge game that probably has just as many players, if not more.
It's a huge game now. Back then when it came out, it had no content. It was a completely new IP. And no one could tell you what the game was trying to be or what it was trying to do.
I think a better example than Sea of Thieves would be Recore. I think Recore got a bad rap because I played it like a few months ago, and like, you know, not looking at it, especially it hurt that it came out close to Horizon, and you know, a sort of post-apocalyptic world that is run by robots. And you look at Horizon, and then you look at Recore, and that says all you need to know. But it actually was a fun game. And I think that speaks to what you're talking about, right? Like these games that really have to bear the brunt of the lack of investment and mismanagement on the first party side of Xbox. Right. So, but yeah, I just wanted to bring up Recore because I actually think it's a really fun game that got a bad rap because there was nothing else going on, and that's all people had to look at.
Yeah.
Like Pentiment.
Yeah. Look, let's very spirited debate we got into.
Very spirited debate.
I blame Everborn, but then as I say, I blame Everborn. I appreciate Everborn, his opinion and everything, which prompted such a spirited.
You're not going to appreciate my opinion if they buy Sega.
They're not buying Sega. If anybody buys Sega, it's going to be Sony.
Stop it. These are my nightmares.
I literally only want Sony to buy Sega just to see Everborn's reaction. I would want
to see salt and fanboy tears.
Oh, like I would.
Let Sony buy Sega.
I pray at night that it happens. Just or maybe I'll pull a very like elaborate April Fool's joke or something and get that response out of you. Either way, I would love to see that. Anyway, we'll get up out of here. This is a long podcast. This is almost 3 hours. We can't do 3 hours. We're going to have to
well, you know what it said when you had nothing to talk about it and you found a way.
I found a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you found a way, Forte. I think.
How did I find? Well, listen, man. You lead, I follow.
We get up out of here. Everborn, let everybody know where to find you. Let everyone know what you are working on, about your absolutely fantastic graphic novel, the game that you're making off of the graphic novel, how slow-mo helped you with some of the interface
Combo
features,
counter.
the hit counter and everything. I want a very small credit somewhere in the credits. Let everybody know what you got going on, man.
No, man, it's Everborn Saga everywhere. Xbox, PlayStation, Steam. I don't play multiplayer games with people, so we can be friends, but I'm probably not going to game with you. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff, Everborn Saga. My branding is in order, but most importantly, everbornsaga.com, where you can buy those beautiful comic books and graphic novels and some merch that Slow-Mo was just talking about. And we just released the Redlands comic book earlier this year, Chapter 1. I'm literally, as we speak, working on the game, which is going to be a 2D beat 'em up in the vein of Streets of Rage 4 and Shredder's Revenge. And I will have more to show about that soon. And I do want to say this here. I've said it in a few places, but I want to spread the word. I want the community to be involved in the development of this project, because I feel like there's so many of us that have these decades and decades of knowledge about gaming, and the tools are in such a place where any of us can be an indie game dev. And I want to at least do what I can to help demystify what it is to work on a game and release a game. It is easier than you think, and I think we all can do it. And I also think in doing it, a lot of us will have a lot less bad takes, like this is a shitty developer, that's a shitty developer. So look out for that soon. I want to just start having game dev sessions and live stream those, and just you guys can see me mess up and all my horrible coding.
That's actually, I'm looking forward to that, because I've actually thought about doing some. I never have time, but I've actually thought about, like, I have an idea for a game that like has been in my mind for like the past 5 years, but I just haven't. I haven't dedicated any time towards actually like figuring out where to get started, what engine I would want to use. Probably Unreal, now that I think about it, but like just little things like that. I haven't really, done any legwork or research on. It'd be good to watch you make all the mistakes and hit all the dead ends, so I don't have to. I appreciate that.
Every one of them, every dead end, I will hit.
But yeah, also I was checking. I was saying something in the chat. Did you shout out Game and Circle podcast?
I mean, I talked about it earlier, but yes, Game and Circle podcast on Saturdays, every Saturday at 10 a.m. Slow-mo is always in the chat giving me gruff.
Yes,
and
he deserves
every
it.
Wednesday at 7 p.m. I'm on Boom's channel. Everybody knows Mr. Boomstick XL. With Primetime Gaming, I'm there with Mag, K Asante, Crispy Bomb, and Wandering Dutch. So every Wednesday at 7, every Saturday at 10, and I will be doing stuff on my channel very soon. I know I've been promising that for like 6 months, but yeah, I'm trying.
Oh, you're just as bad as slow-mo.
Hey, look, man. Hey, look. This content on the channel right now. Okay?
Yeah, the podcast.
Yeah. And I do lunchtime with slow mo. Look, I'm gonna upload a video. I'm gonna upload a video just for Forte. And it's just gonna be a video of saying, "Hey, look, it's gonna be a black screen and some words." And then be like, "You're welcome, Forte." That's gonna be it. It's just gonna be like a 5-second video just to get them off my back. No, seriously, I will bring some. I'm still working on my video about game engines. That's taking a little bit longer than I thought, but so did my black hair video, and so did my Elden Ring review, and those turned out great. So just bear with me, please. In the meantime, though, Forte, let everybody know where everybody can find you and stuff.
Yeah, well, shout out to the surprise guest, Gaming Addict, that walked through the front door and didn't knock before he came in. Shout out to Elder Born Soccer coming up through the house. Make sure you go support that brother and everything he does. He's amazing. Slow-mo, amazing job hosting as usual. Myself, Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation. DPS podcast on my channel next week. Stay tuned for that, and you guys have a great weekend.
And myself, Slow-mo Backslap. You're here on my channel. Appreciate you. If you haven't liked the video yet, like the freaking video, please. You haven't subbed to the channel.
I gotta hit the like button.
Sub to my freaking channel. So I can. I don't know why I'm talking like that, but just sub to the channel, all right? Also, you can check me out on Twitter and Twitch at the same name. And I'll have some content out sometime next week, I guess. So, yeah. You guys have a great one. Shout out again, as he said, to Gaming Addict that came through. Thank you, Everborn, for coming through as well. And hope you guys.
I gotta do this more often, man. I'm always like yelling at you guys while you do the show. This is the first time I said, you know what? Let me tell him to give me a link.
I want to yell at you where you can hear me, huh? Well, maybe next time we get KSN.
Who's yelling?
You get a gaming circle / damage
We've
per second.
We've been trying to
DPS
do that
thing.
for months. You guys are just so busy, man.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I'm saying he just got through doing his show and he noticed everything is crossed out, so the show's over. Shout out to you, man. You working real hard on that channel, bro.
All right, we're getting out of here. We literally have 10 seconds before we hit three hours. So that's it. We're out. Peace, everyone. Enjoy your games.
Peace,
have
love,
a great
hair
time.
grease, and video games.
And we're done. Bye.
Peace.